Chapter 2807. But Lin Yi wasn't the kind of person to get entangled in trivial matters. Since he knew. Lin Yi continued to heal the beautiful woman. Although it was only a wound on her chest, it was very deep. It was as if her heart had been pierced through, so it wasn't something that could be healed in a short time. The beautiful woman wanted to stop Lin Yi. She wanted to take the great recovery pill herself because the feeling of Lin Yi touching her chest was really strange. It made her feel hot and shy. But the beautiful woman was a girl after all. Even if she was a peak late-stage heaven-rank cultivator, she didn't want to have a scar on her body. Lin Yi's magical healing technique made the beautiful woman a bit reluctant. This was something the great recovery pill couldn't replace. Moreover, the value of a great recovery pill was not low. Even with her status, she only had 2 of them on her person. This was the entire stock of the sect, so she didn't want to waste a great recovery pill just like that. Gritting her teeth, the beautiful woman closed her eyes and thought, since I've touched it before, it doesn't matter if it's a while longer. Time flew by quickly. Since the beautiful woman was unable to resist, she could only quietly enjoy it. Although she felt a little embarrassed at first, after a long time, this kind of numbing feeling made her breath slightly faster. This was the first time that the beautiful woman's body was touched by a man. This kind of wonderful feeling made her want to resist, but she also welcomed it. However, the beautiful woman was a rational person. After a moment of confusion, her mind regained its calmness. The pain in her chest had already disappeared. The beautiful woman opened her eyes and glanced at her chest. She found that besides the area covered by Lin Yi's palm, there was no longer any wound. And the area covered by Lin Yi's palm didn't feel any pain other than that wonderful feeling. It doesn't hurt anymore. Do you still want to continue healing? The beautiful woman couldn't help but ask. It's already healed? Lin Yi's mind was a bit lost before. He was mechanically circulating the second layer of the art of dragon mastery. After being reminded by the beautiful woman, he suddenly realized that the girl's chest injury had completely healed. He said with some embarrassment, "Sorry, I was too engrossed in healing. Invest?" The beautiful woman was stunned for a moment before her face turned red. She understood Lin Yi's intentions and could not help but glare at Lin Yi. "Then can you take it away now?" "No. I want to help you consolidate." For some reason Lin Yi said this sentence. You're courting death." The beautiful woman glared at Lin Yi, but for some reason her desire to kill Lin Yi had faded a lot. Hee. Lin Yi quickly moved his hands away, and a pair of perfect jade rabbits jumped out. Turn your head." The beautiful woman felt a chill in her chest. When she looked up, she saw Lin Yi staring at her with a lecherous look. She immediately became anxious. Okay. Lin Yi also felt that his previous behavior was a bit inappropriate, but this also made Lin Yi feel strange. He was not a person who was easily obsessed with lust. What was going on today? The girl in front of him seemed to have an indescribable attraction to him. As for why, Lin Yi could not explain it. After Lin Yi turned his head, the beautiful woman quickly wanted to tie the yellow silk back to her chest. However, when she raised her hand, she realized that her acupuncture points were still sealed. If she had true qi in her body, it would not be a problem. She could break through the acupuncture points on her own, but she did not. She hesitated for a moment and could only say, "Hey, N?" Lin Yi asked, but he did not turn his head. "Help me unseal my acupuncture points," the beautiful woman said anxiously. "All right." Lin Yi just remembered that the beautiful woman's acupuncture points had not been unsealed. He quickly turned around, but he could not avoid seeing the charming jade rabbit on the beautiful woman's chest. "You're still looking?" The beautiful woman glared at Lin Yi. "How can I unseal the acupuncture points if I don't look? Are you going to reach out and poke around?" Lin Yi asked. "You look." The beautiful woman was a little speechless. "This is what you want me to look at?" Lin Yi continued to look, then reached out his hand and lightly poked the beautiful woman's body a few times. After that, Lin Yi directly turned around. Although the temptation here was greater, Lin Yi still decisively resisted. This was an expert at the peak of the late stage of heaven stage. She was not an ordinary little girl. After Lin Yi recognized this, he did not dare to casually provoke her again. The beautiful woman tried for a while and sure enough she could move her body. She quickly picked up the yellow silk on the ground and quickly tied up her chest. She tidied up her clothes, but she did not immediately call Lin Yi. Instead, she looked at Lin Yi's back with a complicated look in her eyes. With her style of doing things, she should have killed Lin Yi, but she didn't know why, but she didn't want to do it. Was it because Lin Yi was her savior? The beautiful woman touched the small box on her body and opened it. There were 2 perfectly intact pills inside. At this time, the beautiful woman was completely sure that Lin Yi didn't use her pills. In other words, Lin Yi healed his injuries first, and then healed his own? The beautiful woman was very clear about how serious Lin Yi's injuries were. She found it hard to imagine that Lin Yi could actually heal himself and then heal himself. He's really amazing. No wonder little 1 and little 13 returned in defeat, and Han Jingjing could actually recover after suffering such heavy injuries. And Boss Bai's injuries, did he also heal them? Thinking of this possibility, the beautiful woman was shocked by her own thoughts. If that was the case, then Lin Yi was simply too powerful. However, no matter what, the beautiful woman didn't have any enmity with Lin Yi. She couldn't mediate the enmity between Lin Yi and the 5 Elements sect. Not to mention even her master couldn't do anything about it. Therefore, the beautiful woman shook her head and temporarily stopped thinking about these things. Thank you, the beautiful woman said to Lin Yi. Although Lin Yi inevitably took advantage of her while she was healing, the beautiful woman was still grateful to him. Without him, she might have already died. Chapter 2808. That's the 5 Evils Dragon. It's the master of the 5 Evils Savage Land. The beautiful woman was a little shy at first, but when it came to serious matters, she regained her composure and explained to Lin Yi. The 5 Evils Dragon. Could it be a 5 elemental spirit beast? Lin Yi asked. That's right. You should be able to tell from the skills it uses. The beautiful woman nodded. Oh, so you're saying that you're a practitioner of all 5 elements as well? Lin Yi pretended to ask casually. The beautiful woman's expression tightened slightly, but she still nodded and said, I'm a 4 elemental cultivator and 1 virtual elemental cultivator. Do you know about the 5 elemental cultivator and the virtual elemental cultivator? I know a little. Lin Yi nodded. He suddenly understood and was very surprised. This beautiful woman was a 4 elemental cultivator and 1 virtual elemental cultivator? Wasn't she too powerful? Let's not talk about this. Alright, what's your name? Are you also a trial taker participating in the Heavenly Elixir Sex trial? The beautiful woman didn't want to talk about her own problems. When she saw Lin Yi's surprised expression, she changed the topic. Lin Yi didn't hide it. There was no way to hide it. Other than the trial takers, is there anyone else here? That's true. The beautiful woman nodded. She reached into her bag and took out a spiritual herb. She handed it to Lin Yi and said, This is the spiritual herb I promised you. It's needed for this trial. Then I won't stand on ceremony. Lin Yi nodded and accepted it. What's your name? Which sect are you from? My name is Tian Chan, I'm a loose cultivator. The beautiful woman hesitated for a moment before saying her name. However, she lied about her sect. Right now, her sect should have some conflict with Lin Yi. She didn't know why, but Tian Chan didn't want too much estrangement between her and Lin Yi. Perhaps she didn't want him to feel that he had saved an enemy. That was what Tian Chan thought. Tian Chan? This area is built next to the water, and every family has its own shadow, just like its name. Lin Yi looked at Tian Chan and said emotionally. Tian Chan blushed. How could she not hear that Lin Yi was praising her beauty? Since she was a child, no one had ever praised her as a beauty. At this time, being praised by Lin Yi, Tian Chan couldn't help but feel a little shy. Alright, why did you come to the 5 Fiends mountain range? Tian Chan changed the topic and asked. She was a little curious as to why Lin Yi would come to the peak of the 5 Fiends mountain range. Oh, I went to look for treasures. Lin Yi didn't hide it and told the truth. If he randomly came up with a reason, Tian Chan wouldn't believe him. Treasure hunt? Tian Chan was stunned. Oh, this is it. Lin Yi took out the Essence Energy Inner Core and showed it to Tian Chan. Essence Energy Inner Core? You actually found this thing? Tian Chan was stunned. She didn't expect Lin Yi's luck to be so good. He actually found a spirit beast's Essence Energy Inner Core. You know what this thing is used for? Lin Yi didn't expect Tian Chan to recognize it at a glance. When Tian Chan heard Lin Yi's question, she couldn't help but be stunned. She hesitated for a moment but still said, It can be made into a protective necklace. However, it needs a blacksmith. Are you a blacksmith? Lin Yi asked. Tian Chan pursed her lips and nodded. You can say that. However, I've never forged anything before. Why don't you help me forge one? Lin Yi smiled and made a joke. One is not enough. I need at least 5. Tian Chan said, Moreover, after this trial, I will return to my sect. You and I probably won't meet again. Which sect are you from? Maybe we'll meet again in the future. Lin Yi asked. Tian Chan hesitated for a moment and became silent. She didn't want to lie to Lin Yi, but she also didn't want to reveal her sect. The Heavenly Elixir sect and Lin Yi still had a lot of hatred. Tian Shan didn't want to destroy their relationship because of her sect. As for why she cared so much about their relationship, Tian Shan didn't know. If it was in the past, she would definitely kill Lin Yi. But now she didn't have this thought. Forget it. Let's not talk about this. Tian Shan's silence made Lin Yi slightly surprised. However, he didn't ask further. Even if Tian Shan didn't say, Lin Yi could guess her origin. If she really came from the Five Elements sect, it was normal for her to hide her sect's origin. Oh yes, why did you come to the Five Fiends mountain range? I came to do something special, Tian Shan said. Did you succeed? Lin Yi asked. I don't know yet. Tian Shan shook her head. Thinking about what happened before, she was a little confused. Lin Yi knew that the two of them weren't familiar. Even if he was Tian Shan's savior, Tian Shan might not tell him the truth, and she might not tell him her purpose of coming here. After all, Lin Yi guessed that Tian Shan might be here to accept the inheritance. However, according to Boss Bai's words, the inheritance of origin power was different from the inheritance of perception. Every time the inheritance of origin power was passed down, only one person could successfully accept the inheritance. If he successfully accepted the inheritance, then Tian Shan should have failed to accept the inheritance. In this way, Tian Shan's previous preparation gave Lin Yi a ready-made advantage. If Tian Shan knew that Lin Yi accepted the inheritance, would she be so angry that she would kill him? Thinking of this, Lin Yi decided not to continue on this topic. Otherwise, if Tian Shan realized it, he would be in danger. After all, Boss Bai had said before that in order to accept the inheritance of origin power, a series of complicated preparations must be made. Before, Tian Shan might have already made the preparations, and now the inheritance might have failed. It was just that she herself didn't know it yet. As for Lin Yi, if it weren't for the fact that the art of dragon mastery suddenly broke through to the second level, Lin Yi probably wouldn't think that he had already accepted the inheritance, because on the surface, it was hard to tell whether he had accepted the inheritance or not. How do we get out of here? This cliff is really high. How are we going to get up? Lin Yi suddenly thought of the most important question, which was how the two of them could leave from here. Being reminded by Lin Yi, Tian Shan raised her head and found the situation of the two of them. A touch of worry flashed in her eyes. Tian Shan looked around and the worry on her face became more intense. After a while she said, "It seems that we can't go up." Chapter 2809. One must know that the jumping height of a heaven rank expert was not on the same level as an earth rank expert. Even if Lin Yi's Qinggong was good, it did not mean that he could jump higher than a heaven rank expert. He could only run as fast as a heaven rank expert. This place is very high. With my jumping height, I can't jump up at all. Tian Shan looked at the cliff and shook her head. The worry in her eyes deepened. Then, why don't we go up from here and keep walking along the mountain? Lin Yi asked. There must be an end to this mountain, right? Maybe, maybe not. Even if there is, there might be other dangers. Tian Shan shook her head. I know this place better than you. The other side of the Five Fiends mountain is a dead end. Dead end? Lin Yi looked at Tian Shan in shock. That means, other than going back from here, there is no way out? That's right. Legend has it that the Five Fiends mountain is a dividing line. On the other side of the Five Fiends mountain lives a higher level spiritual beast, the legendary heavenly beast. Tian Shan said, the Five Fiends mountain range is where the previous spiritual beast kings of the land of five evils reside. When it successfully ascends to the heavenly Tao, it will give up the Five Fiends mountain range to the successor, who is the new spiritual beast king of the land of five evils. The old spiritual beast king that ascends to the heavenly Tao will cross the Five Fiends mountain range and go to the other side of the mountain range. Lin Yi was speechless. Originally, Lin Yi was hoping that there was a way out in the endless distance. But it seemed that there was no hope now. Since Tian Shan could come here to receive the inheritance, she must know this place better than him. Previously, a spiritual beast with the strength of a heaven-rank late-stage spiritual beast had already put them in a difficult situation. If they continued to walk forward and encountered a bunch of heavenly beasts, it would be equivalent to courting death. Lin Yi would rather wait for death here. It was better to go there and die. Then, there is no other way? Lin Yi said helplessly as he looked at the precipitous cliff in front of him. He never thought that he would be trapped in a valley one day. I can't think of anything for now. Tian Shan shook her head and frowned. No one knew what she was thinking. If we don't go out, will someone come looking for us? Lin Yi actually wanted to ask if anyone had come looking for Tian Shan. Since she was here to receive the inheritance, then she should be a very important figure in the Five Elements sect. It was impossible for the Five Elements sect to ignore her, right? I don't think so. Tian-chan shook her head. I'm not sure either. Alright, are you hungry? I'll make something to eat and then we'll think of a way? Linny asked. It's okay, I'm a sky class so I don't need to eat. Tian-chan shook her head. But I don't have any pure chi left in my body, so I'm a little hungry. Then I'll go find something to eat. Linny couldn't think of a good way to leave at the moment. He could only look for something to eat. He wasn't as familiar with the terrain as Tian-chan was, and if Tian-chan said there was no way, then there was no way. So, the only thing Linny was considering was if he could climb up the precipitous cliff and not leave from another direction. Skybolt Pig, is there anything good to eat here? Linny turned to Skybolt Pig and asked. This is Skybolt Pig. Tian-chan heard Lin Yi's words and focused on Skybolt Pig. She was a little surprised. You know Skybolt Pig? Linny was startled. He didn't think that Tian-chan would know about Skybolt Pig. Yeah, I've read about it before. The elixir god Zhang Liju's contracted spirit beast, why is it with you? Tian-chan paused and remembered that Linny had been to Zhang Liju's tomb before, so it wasn't surprising that he had Zhang Liju's contracted spirit beast. Haha, it was a coincidence that this little guy followed me. Linny rubbed Skybolt Pig's head and didn't say much. He and Tian-chan seemed to be getting along well, but they were both holding back. Everyone had their own secrets that couldn't be told. I see. I heard that this little guy knows how to hunt for treasures, is that true? Tian-chan asked. It's true, and it was this little guy who brought me here to find this essence energy core. Linny said honestly. Oink oink. Skybolt Pig nodded proudly. It's so cute, can I hug it? Tian-chan didn't think that she would meet Skybolt Pig here. This was her Grandmaster's contracted spirit beast, and Tian-chan felt that she would be affected by her Grandmaster's spiritual energy just by hugging it. Sure, but this little guy is shy. But before Linny could finish, Skybolt Pig jumped into Tian-chan's arms. This made Linny speechless. Are you two from the same family? What's with this little guy? Same family? Tian-chan froze. Our surname is Tian. Linny smiled. You're the one from the same family as the pig. Tian-chan rolled her eyes at Linny. She was extremely charming and Linny couldn't help but hold his breath. Haha. Linny laughed. It seems to like me very much? Tian-chan found that Skybolt Pig was very close to her. Still, I can't give it to you. Linny said. Stingy. Tian-chan returned Skybolt Pig to Linny. However, after Tian-chan said this, she felt a bit strange. She actually had such a coquettish side. Was it because he saw her body? Or was it because he didn't know where he would go tomorrow at the bottom of this cliff? Haha. Lin-Yi took Skybolt Pig and said, let's go find something to eat. Oink oink. Skybolt Pig seemed to be a bit hungry, and excitedly ran in a direction with Lin-Yi. Tian-chan wanted to follow, but she thought that her body was very tired. She didn't have a trace of physical strength. At this time, she shouldn't waste her physical strength. It would be better for her to sit down and cultivate for a while. So Linny left. Tian-chan sat on the ground and began to absorb the heaven and earth ling chi. The five evils chi here was a nightmare for other cultivators, but for Tian-chan, it was a rare place to cultivate. The heaven and earth ling chi here was very pure. Although it was of the five attributes, she was also a cultivator of the five attributes. The five evils chi here would not have any adverse effect on her. Lin-Yi followed Skybolt Pig all the way to a natural pond. Skybolt Pig used his claws to point at the pond and then oink oink twice. Chapter 28:10. However, after Lin-Yi stood there for a while, he discovered that there wasn't a trace of true chi fluctuation in the pond. There shouldn't be any spirit beasts here. GG. The Skybolt Pig was drooling. Lin-Yi was helpless. He rolled up his pants and walked to the edge of the pond. However, Lin-Yi discovered that there were a lot of fish in the pond. Perhaps it was because there weren't any spirit beasts or people here all year round. The pond was already full of fish. Moreover, they were all very fat. Lin-Yi casually reached out his hand and caught a few big fish. Lin-Yi threw the fish on the shore and grabbed a few more. Then he went ashore and brought the Skybolt Pig back to the original place. There he saw Tian-chan sitting cross-legged with her eyes closed, cultivating. Lin-Yi was slightly surprised, then he immediately thought of Tian-chan's attributes. She was also a cultivator of the five attributes, so it was normal for her to be able to use the five evils chi to cultivate. However, this five evils chi wasn't very useful for Lin-Yi. Although the five evils chi here was very pure, it wasn't as pure as the true chi in the space inside the jade pendant. Lin-Yi could only cultivate normally here. Tian-chan, do you want to eat fish? Linny asked. Ah, you're back. Tian-chan quickly recovered from her cultivation state. She discovered that she was too immersed in her cultivation. In the past, it didn't matter when she was in the sect because no one could harm her. Therefore, when Tian-chan was cultivating, she wasn't vigilant at all. But here, if Linny wanted to harm her, then she would really fall into his trap. However, Tian-chan had a second thought. If Linny really wanted to harm her, then why did Linny save her? At that time he could have just given her a palm and she would have died. Why would he wait until now? Therefore Tian-chan felt that she was thinking too much. There was no need to guard against Linny. Well, I only found fish here. I'm going to grill it. Do you want to eat it? Linny asked. Let's eat. Tian-chan showed an expectant expression. I haven't eaten for a long time. Linny laughed and said, if you want to eat, come and help me. There are no dead branches here. Help. Tian-chan was taken aback. Oh. You are a 5-elemental cultivator, so you should also be an alchemist, right? Condensed Dan fire to roast fish. As Linny spoke, he placed the fish on the ground in order. Then he condensed an alchemic fire and began to roast them. So, this works too? Tian-chan found it a little novel. In the sect, she had never used the elixir fire to roast fish. She had never even cooked dishes by herself, so she didn't know that the elixir fire could also be used to roast. I can tell that you are a socialite. You are naturally different from individual cultivators like us. Under all the harsh conditions, you have to rely on yourself to create the conditions, Linny said with a smile. Yes, it's fortunate that I met you. Otherwise, I'm afraid I would have been buried under this cliff this time. Tian-chan said with a sigh. According to Patriarch Xianxin, there shouldn't be any danger for her to come here. However, who would have thought that the 5 Evils dragon would return to the cave so early, causing her to experience such a thrilling scene? If it weren't for Lin Yi who helped her heal, even if she had 100 recover pills, she wouldn't have been able to eat them. Tian-chan followed Lin Yi's example and condensed the elixir fire to roast fish. With the two of them roasting together, the process was naturally much faster. In the blink of an eye, the roast fish emitted a fragrant aroma. Tian-chan was really a little hungry. After the roast fish was done, she couldn't wait to take a big bite. However, she felt that it wasn't ladle-like enough. She blushed and lowered her head to eat the fish in small bites. However, she wasn't used to it. If you're hungry, then eat it. There are only the two of us here. You don't have to care too much about those etiquettes, Lin Yi said. Although Tian-chan heard Lin Yi's words, she still ate the roast fish in a very polite manner. Lin Yi smiled and didn't say anything else. He picked up a roast fish and threw it to Skybolt Pig. As for Lin Yi, because he had just broken through to the 2nd level of the Art of Dragon Mastery, he didn't feel hungry at all. Skybolt Pig caught the roast fish and ate it in big bites. There was a total of 6 roast fish. Skybolt Pig ate 2, and the remaining 4 went into Tian-chan's stomach. When Tian-chan finished eating, she realized that she actually ate 6 roast fish. This made her a little embarrassed. It's okay. We're all cultivators. It's okay to eat a little more. Lin Yi smiled. It would have been better if Lin Yi didn't say it. After hearing it, Tian-chan became even more embarrassed. She glared at Lin Yi and said, "You still dare to say it? I'll kick you." Lin Yi smiled. He felt that the beautiful girl in front of him was very cute. Although she was a peak late-stage heaven-class expert, her mind was a little pure. It seemed that she wasn't that old. Lin Yi knew that heaven-class experts could maintain their appearance forever. Although they couldn't live forever, they could still maintain the appearance they had when they broke through to the heaven class. Although Tian-chan looked like she was 17 or 18 years old, she might actually be 40 or 50 years old. But from her current reaction, she shouldn't be that old. How old are you this year? Lin Yi asked. 19. How about you? Tian-chan was embarrassed. Lin Yi changed the topic and she was happy to answer. Oh, I'm just 1 year older than you. Lin Yi said, but you're actually a peak late-stage heaven-class expert at such a young age. It's really rare. It seems that your sex strength isn't weak. It's all right. Tian-chan didn't seem to be willing to talk about her sex matters. She didn't answer Lin Yi's question directly. Lin Yi saw that Tian-chan didn't want to talk about it, so he didn't say anything else. The only topic between the two of them was each other's sect, cultivation methods and martial skills. But these things were confidential. If Tian-chan didn't say it, Lin Yi couldn't ask. As for other common things, he really didn't know what to say. After all, the two of them weren't very familiar with each other, and they didn't understand each other. Lin Yi raised his head and looked at the steep cliff. He was thinking about a way to leave this place. Staying here was not a solution. Although Lin Yi felt that the 5 evils chi shouldn't have any effect on him, he couldn't live here forever, right? Although living here with a beautiful woman like Tian Chan was a very enviable thing, Lin Yi had more important things to do. There's no foothold on this cliff, but when you jump, can't you use your hands and feet to make a dent on the cliff and use it as a foothold? Lin Yi suggested after carefully studying the cliff. Chapter 28:11. Then she continued, you should have seen it before. When I was fighting with the dragon of 5 evils, our martial skills collided with each other. Although it produced a very powerful force, its cave didn't suffer any damage. Yes. Lin Yi was suddenly startled. Only now did he realize that something was wrong. The dragon of 5 evils had collided with Tian Chan's martial skills, and the resulting force was almost equivalent to Lin Yi's Jin Qi bomb. However, the cave of the dragon of 5 evils was not damaged at all. Moreover, Lin Yi's Jin Qi bomb had been able to explode the rocks in the Wulonghout mountain range and at the school gate. In that case, it seems that my proposal won't work. Lin Yi smiled helplessly. It's not impossible. I can use my martial skill to create a depression in the mountain rock and then grab it. But with my ability, even if I have enough physical strength and true chi, I can only use my strongest martial skill 3 times. And with the height of my jump, if I want to jump to the top of the mountain, I will have to jump at least 20 times. I can't hold on for that long. Tian Chan shook her head helplessly and said, your proposal is feasible in theory, but it won't work in practice. But, what if you recover your physical strength and Jin Qi for a while after 3 times? Lin Yi's heart moved and he suddenly asked. My hands and feet are clasped on the cliff. How can I use the mnemonic chant in that kind of tense state? I have to use all of my strength to concentrate on clasping the cliff with my hands and feet. Tian Chan shook her head and said, otherwise I will accidentally fall and die. Moreover, my mnemonic chant can only be used when I sit cross-legged and meditate. Lin Yi nodded. Tian Chan was right. Lin Yi's mantra didn't require him to sit cross-legged and meditate. However, what Tian Chan said was right. At that time, all his attention would be placed on the cliff with his hands and feet. How would he be able to meditate? The slightest bit of relaxation and distraction would cause one to fall to their death. This method was still flawed. Lin Yi originally wanted to cooperate with Tian Chan. Lin Yi would transfer physical strength and true chi to Tian Chan, and Tian Chan would only need to circulate the inner force chant. However, the current situation was that Tian Chan could not circulate the inner force chant while holding onto the cliff. I have a way. Lin Yi hesitated and said, you have a way? Tian Chan was slightly taken aback. And I have a martial technique called Heavenly Spring Rain. It can consume my own physical strength and true chi to quickly restore my teammates' physical strength and true chi. Lin Yi said, at that time, you don't need to circulate the inner force chant. Just focus on holding onto the cliff, and I can restore your physical strength and true chi. Heavenly Spring Rain? Isn't this the martial technique of the Everyday and Everyday sect? You actually know it? Tian Chan was slightly taken aback, but she had obviously heard of this martial technique. Really? Lin Yi was also taken aback. He didn't expect this martial technique to be passed down from the Everyday and Everyday sect. I got this martial technique from a friend. It doesn't have much to do with the Everyday and Everyday sect. You really have a lot of powerful martial techniques. Before, your true chi could heal my injuries. Now, your true chi can also be used by me. You have quite a lot of secrets. At this moment, Tian Chan felt that it wasn't a coincidence that Lin Yi had a foothold in the hidden realm and began to attack the ancient realm, but Lin Yi really had the strength to do so. However, Tian Chan was very curious. How did a rogue cultivator reach this step? Tian Chan decided that after going back, she would carefully investigate Lin Yi's growth. This was the first time she was so curious about a person. Then can you keep it a secret for me? Tian Chan knew too many of Lin Yi's secrets. Although the two of them seemed to have a good relationship, it was based on the situation where the two of them couldn't leave this place. Once the two of them left this place and separated, Lin Yi was also afraid that Tian Chan would be pressured by the sect to say something. At that time, his secrets would be exposed. Okay. Tian Chan unexpectedly nodded and agreed to Lin Yi's request. After agreeing, Tian Chan felt that it was inconceivable. I actually agreed to keep it a secret for him? Is it because he saved me before? Perhaps. I'm not someone who doesn't know how to repay kindness. Thank you. Lin Yi didn't know why, but he also believed Tian Chan's words. He always felt that there was an indescribable connection and trust between the two of them. As for what exactly it was, Lin Yi also didn't know. Now, let's think about how to leave this place. Although you have the Heavenly Spring Rain martial skill, even so, it will be difficult for us to leave this place. Tian-chan shook her head and said, first of all, even if you can use martial skills to help me recover my physical strength, you can only recover once or twice, but can you recover a third time? I'm an expert with the strength of the peak late stage of heaven stage. First of all, I have more physical strength and true chi than you. Even if you give me all the physical strength and true chi in your body, I can only jump 2 more times. It won't play a decisive role. Moreover, there are 2 of us, how can we jump up together? Your 2 worries are actually not a problem. Lin Yi waved his hand and said, first of all, I can recover my physical strength and continue to use martial skills. Second, you can tie me behind you so that when you jump up you can bring me along. You recover physical strength and true chi? Tian-chan was stunned. How long will it take to recover? As far as I know, after continuously using martial skills, after using the body's physical strength and true chi, it is impossible to recover without a period of cultivation, right? I will be fine in a while. Lin Yi smiled. Look at me. Just now I healed myself, healed you, and grilled fish. I used up a lot of physical strength and true chi. But now my physical strength and true chi are full. Tian-chan was shocked and looked at Lin Yi in surprise. Lin Yi, on the other hand, deliberately operated the mantra, making Tian-chan feel an obvious feeling of energy. After a while, Tian-chan said, you are really amazing. There are not many people who can make me admire, but you are one of them. If it weren't for the fact that we are going through thick and thin together, I wouldn't have told you so many secrets. Lin Yi shrugged. What do you think of my suggestion? Chapter 28:12. In the past, Tian-chan wouldn't have agreed at all. She didn't have much physical contact with the opposite sex. But now it was different. The 2 of them were in a hopeless situation, and if they didn't do this they wouldn't be able to escape. Plus, Lin Yi had seen things he shouldn't have seen, touched things he shouldn't have touched, and Tian-chan's immunity towards him, it was all him anyways, and Tian-chan's resistance wasn't as strong anymore. All right. Tian-chan finally nodded. I don't know how long it's been. Lin Yi had broken through in the jade space, and with the inheritance from the origin, he didn't know how long it had been. He wondered how Zhao Qikuan and the others were doing. What's wrong? Do you have friends who are participating in the trial outside? Yeah, I wonder how they're doing. Lin Yi said worriedly. Tian-chan was silent after listening to Lin Yi's words. She knew the nature of the Sky Elixir School's test. The practitioners who came here were basically sending themselves to death. Although it was cruel, Tian-chan couldn't do anything about it. Even her master couldn't do anything about it. She couldn't do anything about it. She could only let it be. But she couldn't say this to Lin Yi, so she changed the topic. How do I tie you to me? There aren't any ropes or anything like that here. Look. Lin Yi looked around, and other than a bloody fingernail there was nothing else. Lin Yi's eyes finally landed on Tian-chan's chest, as if he wanted to say something, but he didn't. Tian-chan felt uncomfortable being stared at by Lin Yi. What are you looking at? Your chest, the yellow cloth. Lin Yi said. Then, what about my chest? Tian-chan glared at Lin Yi and said angrily, should I show it to you? I'm behind you so I can't see it. Lin Yi sweated and said, besides, didn't I see it before? There's only the 2 of us here. Once we reach the top of the mountain you can go back, right? Tian-chan felt a little embarrassed to do so. After all, this was different from when Lin Yi healed her. However, thinking about it, Lin Yi was right. There were only the 2 of them in this mountain range. Lin Yi had seen and touched it. In order to go up smoothly, Lin Yi's suggestion was acceptable. However, Tian-chan felt that it was a little inappropriate. Besides, your clothes are so long it can't be exposed, right? At most, it'll be faintly visible. Look at those car models on TV, they're so much exposed. Lin Yi said while the iron was hot. I'll kick you to death. I don't want to become famous. Tian-chan pretended to kick Lin Yi, but Lin Yi's words made her relax a little. She rolled her eyes at Lin Yi and said, how am I supposed to take it off if you look at me? Haha, I'll just treat it as watching you dance. Lin Yi smiled. I think you're looking for a kick. You're just a small Earth-class late phase. How dare you talk to a Sky-class late phase peak like this? Aren't you afraid that I'll kill you in one hit? Tian-chan looked at Lin Yi with disdain. Aha, I can kill Sky-class in one hit too. Lin Yi smiled. Zhang Naipeo brought 2 Sky-class mid-phase followers. I killed one of them. You can kill Sky-class mid-phase already? Tian-chan paused and looked at Lin Yi in shock. What do you mean by already? Did you know that I could do it in the past? Lin Yi paused as well. No, I was just shocked. Tian-chan was a little shocked. She didn't know that Zhang Naipeo's followers were killed in one hit. She just didn't expect Lin Yi to be this strong. Then you're still not my opponent. I can kill Sky Class mid-phase in one hit too. Then kill me. Let's not go up. Lin Yi said. You think I don't dare? Tian Shan raged. Why aren't you turning around? Lin Yi smiled and turned around. He had a strange feeling in his heart. Rock Candy was also a Sky Class late-phase peak, but when she was with Lin Yi, she always treated Lin Yi with a cold attitude. But Tian Shan was different. Although she was a master, her personality was like a little girl. Lin Yi felt very happy when he was with her. Tian Shan hesitated for a moment. She untied the yellow silk on her chest and then carefully pulled the neckline to prevent her breasts from being exposed. However, it was impossible. The shape of the clothes was there. Tian Shan could only try to cover her body with the clothes. However, this kind of looming temptation gave Tian Shan a headache. Alright, you can turn around now. Tian Shan couldn't come up with a solution after a long time, so she called out to him. Are you deliberately seducing me? Lin Yi looked at Tian Shan and said, don't you know that this kind of feeling makes men go crazy? If you say it again, I will kick you into a eunuch. Tian Shan looked at Lin Yi coldly and said, if you say it again, I will tell you a story about killing the donkey after it has outlived its usefulness. Let's go up the cliff and settle the account. Okay. Lin Yi stopped smiling. He remembered that although the one in front of him was a beautiful woman, she was also a Sky Class late-phase peak expert. She was an existence that could destroy him at any time. Now I will wrap the yellow silk around us. Help me. Okay. Tian Shan nodded. She looked at Lin Yi standing behind her nervously. Her delicate body trembled a little. She wanted Lin Yi not to get too close to her. But thinking about it, how could they be tied if they were too far away? What if they fell off halfway? If she wanted it to be sturdy, she had to be close to her body. Lin Yi took a deep breath. The smell of Tian Shan's body was very good. He didn't know if it was the fragrance of the shower gel or her own body fragrance. It made Lin Yi have an impulse to kiss her. He carefully stood behind Tian Shan. Lin Yi's heavy breath blew on Tian Shan's neck, giving her a strange feeling. It was a little itchy and a little uncomfortable. She couldn't help but say, you, don't blow on me, I am breathing normally. If I don't, I will die. Lin Yi said helplessly. Then turn your head. Tian Shan couldn't stand it and said, okay. Lin Yi tilted his head, but his body was directly attached to Tian Shan's body. Tian Shan's delicate body trembled and she almost screamed. However, it was fine if Tian Shan didn't move. Once she moved, Lin Yi inevitably had a physiological reaction. Chapter 28:13. I'm an Earth class, where would I get a weapon? Lin Yi smiled bitterly, not knowing how to explain. Alright, we'll just tie the yellow silk around our bodies. It's uncomfortable, it's uncomfortable. Tian Shan panicked as she saw Lin Yi trying to change the topic. She reached out to grab it but realized that something wasn't right. Her face flushed red from her neck to her ears. She pulled her hand back as if she was electrocuted. You pervert! How is this pervert? Lin Yi couldn't help but smile bitterly. This is a natural reflex. It means that you're pretty and I'm attracted to you. If you looked like the 5 Malefic Dragon, it'd be weird if I had a reaction. You're the 5 Malefic Dragon. Tian Shan was embarrassed, but Lin Yi complimenting her beauty made her feel good. Which girl didn't like compliments? Especially when Tian Shan was in the sect. She didn't have a chance like this at all. Ha, alright, don't move. It'll be done in a while. We'll use the yellow silk to tie us up, Lin Yi said. Alright then. Tian Shan felt uncomfortable with something poking at her back, but she had to act like she didn't feel anything in order to get back to the peak safely. She took the yellow silk from Lin Yi and wrapped it around her body before giving it back to Lin Yi. Lin Yi took the silk and wrapped it around himself as well before giving it to Tian Shan. The two did this a few times and finally they became one person. It was quite similar to when Lin Yi was carrying Xiao Xiao in the Ice Palace. Done. Lin Yi tied a knot on the rope, making sure it wouldn't loosen. He turned to Tian Shan. It's done now. Okay, then I'll prepare to jump. Is there anything else you need to do? Tian Shan asked. GG. The Sky Thunder Pig pointed at the nail of the 5 Evils dragon on the ground. Are you saying that this is a good thing? Lin Yi was slightly stunned. Previously, he thought that the nails of the 5 Evils dragon were useless, so he casually threw them aside. But looking at the Sky Thunder Pig, it seemed to be a treasure? GG. The Heavenly Thunder Pig nodded. That's right. Every part of the Dragon of 5 Evils is a treasure. Tian Shan explained, this nail belongs to the Earth attribute. It's a heavenly treasure that can strengthen the physique of Earth attribute cultivators. However, it's useless to me. Since it's useful, let's bring it back. Lin Yi said to the Skybolt pig. Pick it up and carry it on my back, we are leaving. GG. The Skybolt pig quickly ran over and picked up the nail with his mouth. Then he jumped onto Lin Yi's body and grabbed onto Lin Yi with all 4 of his limbs. Okay, that's enough. Let's go up. Lin Yi said to Tian Chan. Tian Chan nodded and took a deep breath. Then she said to Lin Yi, then I'll prepare to jump. Be careful. Okay. Lin Yi was tied up by the yellow silk, so he didn't need to hold onto Tian Chan's body. However, his lower body was pressed against Tian Chan, which made Lin Yi blush. However, the more he thought about it, the more he couldn't calm down. This made Lin Yi a little embarrassed, so he could only try not to think about it. Tian Chan couldn't do anything about it. She channeled the mantra and suddenly leaped up towards the cliff. Then she pushed out her palms and slammed them against the cliff with all her might. Lin Yi could see that this should be the 5 elements Bagua Zhang, which was also Tian Chan's strongest move. Although Lin Yi wanted to secretly learn it, he also knew that even if he asked Tian Chan, she wouldn't tell him. Just like how Tian Chan didn't ask why he could heal her, even if he asked, she wouldn't tell him. Boom. Tian Chan used a lot of strength, but what she left on the cliff was only a shallow mark. It was barely enough for Tian Chan to hold on and prevent her from falling. Then Tian Chan kicked hard on the cliff with both of her feet. Similarly, she only kicked a shallow mark on the cliff, so that she could temporarily hang there. Lin Yi, I can't do it. When I was dealing with the 5 evils dragon, my physical strength and true chi were almost used up. I just ate something and it was better, but after I used this move, my body has no physical strength and true chi at all. Tian Chan hurriedly said to Lin Yi, I can't hold on for long. This position is very uncomfortable. Quickly help me replenish my physical strength and true chi. Okay. Lin Yi did not dare to be negligent. He hurriedly used the mantra of the heavenly spring rain. However, it was still a bit difficult for Lin Yi to use this position, but he finally succeeded. Heavenly spring rain, the 5th move. The first move of the heavenly spring rain could transfer true chi to 1 person, the second move could transfer true chi to 2 people, and the 5th move could transfer true chi to 5 people. Right now there was only Tian Chan beside Lin Yi. Using the 5th move was equivalent to transferring 5 portions of true chi to Tian Chan at the same time. This way, the physical strength and true chi in Lin Yi's body could be transferred to Tian Chan quickly. On Lin Yi's hands, a light blue mist of true chi suddenly appeared. Then, as Lin Yi activated the martial skill, the light blue true chi suddenly left Lin Yi's hands and floated in the air. Then, like spring rain, it poured into Tian Chan's body. In an instant, Tian Chan felt that her physical strength and true chi were quickly restored. It didn't take long for Lin Yi's physical strength and true chi to completely enter Tian Chan's body, and Lin Yi became a weak person. It's really magical. Tian Chan said with a sigh, I really didn't expect this martial skill to be so magical. My physical strength and true chi suddenly became a lot more abundant. Although it's not at its peak, it's not a problem to jump 2 more times. That's good. After using the heavenly spring rain, Lin Yi didn't care about anything else. He quickly entered the Jade Space and activated the 2nd stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery to recover the physical strength and true chi that he had lost. After resting for a while, Tian Chan jumped up again, this time to a higher altitude. She activated the 5 elements 8 trigrams palm, and so on, behind the 5 Fiends Mountains, the 5 Fiends Barren Grounds. Naipeo was very lucky, the place he was teleported to was the closest to a safe place. Chapter 28:14. This safe place was marked out on the map, but any practitioner with a bit of intelligence could tell that it was a natural moat. It didn't matter if it was a beast or a bird, they wouldn't be able to get in here. Spirit beasts were usually bigger and they didn't have much attack power. As long as a practitioner hid here, no spirit beast would be able to harm them. Ba found this place pretty quickly. The two met up on the first night of the test. Gunslinger, did you get the elixir for the test? Ba asked. No, there's none nearby and I didn't look for it. Wait, this place is pretty obvious. It won't be long before other practitioners find their way here, and we'll just take it for ourselves then, Naipeo said faintly. You're right, with Gunslinger's abilities and skills, he wouldn't need to go find it himself at all. Only an idiot would go find it himself. Ba said respectfully. Let's rest for a bit, Naipeo said faintly. The chi here is quite thick, I'll train for a bit. Gunslinger, didn't they say that the 5's malevolence is harmful to practitioners? Why are you? Ba said startled. Haha, look at what kind of arts I'm practicing, my wasp absorption arts. What chi can't I absorb? As long as it's chi, it doesn't matter if it's 5's malevolence chi or even poison. Naipeo laughed casually. This place is perfect for me to train, and I'll take some time to consolidate my strength. And so, Naipeo trained while Mo-ba stood guard beside him. Their luck wasn't that good however, as they didn't see a single practitioner the whole time. Mo-ba couldn't help but panic. Liang bro, something's not right, we've been waiting for so long, why haven't we seen a single practitioner? How long has it been? Let's wait, there's no need to rush, Naipeo said calmly. Naipeo hadn't even finished his words when he heard voices coming from outside the safe place. Someone was coming. Master Yang, we're really lucky, there's a place here that looks pretty good, we can avoid the attacks of spirit beasts. The person outside said. Indeed, we can hide here and rest for a while before rushing to the teleportation array. The person called Young Hero Yang said. He was an expert from the Flame Mountain and was a peak mid-stage heaven rank expert. The one who spoke to him was an Earth-class mid-phase master from the Dark Palace, and the other one who didn't speak was also an Earth-class early-phase master from the Dark Palace. Both of them were just there to carry Young Hero Yang's shoes, but following behind a peak heaven-class mid-phase master could greatly reduce the danger. Look, they had met a mystic-class spirit beast earlier, and it was beaten away by Young Hero Yang. Although they didn't have much of an advantage if these two Earth-class masters from the Dark Palace went up against it, then even if they didn't die they would be heavily injured. Moreover, with Young Hero Yang's protection, they were able to successfully collect the trial's elixir. Although there was only one for each of them, it was already very good. If the two of them were to act alone, they might not be able to collect the elixir and might even lose their lives. After you, Young Hero Yang? Disciple A said and made a gesture of invitation. Young Hero Yang nodded and led the way into the safe area. However, he paused when he went in. He saw Naipeo and his follower Mo-ba here as well. But Young Hero Yang wasn't too afraid. As far as he was concerned, he was a sky-class mid-phase peak after all, and as long as he didn't provoke Naipeo, then Zhang Naipeo wouldn't do anything to him. The two disciples from the Dark Palace followed Young Hero Yang in, and they too paused when they saw Naipeo. They were a little fearful, but remembering that Naipeo was only a sky-class early phase, and his follower Mo-ba mid-phase, while Young Hero Yang was a sky-class mid-phase peak, they calmed down. The three of you seem to be very satisfied with your harvest? Mo-ba grinned and suddenly asked the three of them. What do you mean? Disciple B turned around, a little wary. It's nothing, hand over the elixir and Gunslinger will let you live. Mo-ba said faintly. Hand it over? What? Disciple B was startled. He came with a mission this time. He needed to get a chi-gathering pill from the Sky Elixir sect, allowing the sect master to level up from Earth-class late-phase peak to Sky-class early phase. This was the last chance, and while the chi-gathering pill had its drawbacks, the drawbacks would disappear once the inheritance was mastered, and there would be no more barriers to leveling up. The time for that plan was getting closer and closer, and if the Dark Palace wanted a piece of the pie they had to hurry. The problem now was that the sect master Yi Wan hadn't broken through to Sky class yet, and the higher the strength, the higher the chance of mastering the inheritance. The Dark Palace had no other choice but to resort to this. What? Because Gunslinger can decide your life and death. Mo-ba humphed coldly. If Gunslinger wants you to live, you'll live. If he wants you to die, you'll die. Aren't you being too overbearing? Disciple B couldn't help but say. Overbearing? From the moment you stepped into the ranks of practitioners, you should know what it means to be the strong preying on the weak. Isn't it a little too late to talk about overbearing now? Mo-ba said with disdain. Alright, we're all here for the test and I don't want to hurt our friends. Our Gunslinger's principle is, hand over the item and we won't kill you. If you want to live, then do it quickly. If you want to die, then I won't stop you. You. Disciple B was about to say something when the other Disciple A pulled him back. He gestured to Disciple B to see what Young Warrior Yang had to say. The strongest person here was Young Warrior Yang, and the two of them were only Earth classes. They didn't have much say here. Hero Yang, you mean? Dark Palace Disciple A looked at Fire Mountain's Hero Yang. Zhang Naipeo, don't push yourself. If we really fight, I'm not scared of you. I'm a Sky class mid-phase peak, different from that Tu Junwang early phase peak. Yang was quite pissed as well. He'd been flattered by the first and second disciples on the way here, and now that he was being robbed by Naipeo, it was only natural that he wasn't happy about it, especially in front of his two followers. How could he back down? Chapter 28:15. Not scared? Then I'll stand here and let you hit me. Let's see what you can do. Naipeo laughed as he looked at Yang in disdain. I'm not trying to brag, but even if I told you to hit me, you wouldn't be able to do anything to me. Is that true? You're not going to do anything? Yang knew how Tu Tua got hurt, but he didn't believe that Naipeo would just stand there and let him hit him. Why would he be scared? As far as he was concerned, he'd be fine as long as he didn't touch him. He'd heard of Naipeo's achievements in the Ice Palace, and he knew that Naipeo had a skill called the Wasp Absorption Arts, which allowed him to absorb the practitioner's strength for his own use. It was probably the same thing right now. Tutua was injured because his hand touched Naipeo's body, and he had to avoid that problem. Of course, Naipeo said faintly, with your strength you're not worthy of me doing it myself. Alright, if that's the case, then don't blame me for what I'm about to do. Yang calmed down after hearing Naipeo's words. With a wave of his hand, a ring appeared on his waist, and he started chanting some sort of art. The ring turned bright red and a ring of fire started burning on it. This was young hero Yang's heaven-step divine weapon. He came from the Blazing Mountain, and although he wasn't the young master of the Blazing Mountain, he was still a direct descendant of the Blazing Mountain, and would become an elder in the future. Therefore, the Blazing Mountain sect had bestowed him a heaven-step divine weapon. Yang's eyes flashed fiercely as the ring of fire in his hand exploded with energy, smashing towards Naipeo's head, blazing 3 rings 15th form. He used his strongest technique right from the get-go, the 15th form of a Sky Class, and he even used a Sky Class weapon to amplify the power of his technique. Evidently, he wanted to kill Naipeo in one hit. In the training grounds, death was death. The Sky Elixir sect only asked that people not be killed in the inn, but not in the training grounds. They only said to try to avoid conflict, but whether or not there was conflict was up to the practitioner themselves. This was also why Naipeo dared to rob them. Naipeo, on the other hand, didn't move at all. Of course, his practitioner's arts were still channeling. It was his first time facing a Sky Class mid-phase peak, but back when he was an Earth Class late-phase peak, the highest level he could kill was a Sky Class mid-phase. Now that he was a Sky Class early phase, the highest level he could kill would naturally increase as well. Killing a Sky Class mid-phase peak in one hit was still possible. Boom. The ring of fire smashed into Naipeo's head, and a bone-deep wound appeared on his head. Blood flowed profusely, and if it weren't for the chi protecting his body, he would have been smashed to death. Mo-Ba, on the side, quickly took out a pill and stuffed it into Naipeo's mouth. Naipeo had to channel his arts for a while before he fully recovered. The wound on his head had already scabbed over. Pho. Naipeo took in a deep breath. A Sky Class mid-phase peak was indeed not to be underestimated. Fortunately, he had his arts protecting his body, and the opponent's skill couldn't fully hit him. Otherwise, he would have been heavily injured if not dead. Ah! Master Yang cried out. He felt a strong force coming from his ring of fire, and while the ring was still in his hand, the power of the ring hit his body directly. All of a sudden, a huge wound appeared on young hero Yang's body. It was as if he had been smashed by the ring of flames. It was huge and his ribs and internal organs had been crushed. After young hero Yang screamed, he struggled for a while and fell to the ground. There was no movement and it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. The 2 disciples of the Dark Palace were dumbfounded. In their eyes, the high and mighty Sky Class mid-phase peak was dead just like that? This Master Yang, who they had been praising and praising, couldn't even withstand a single blow? Or rather, Master Yang didn't even make a move, and only hit Naipeo once. Naipeo didn't die and he was the one who died. This was unbelievable. But the disciples of the Dark Palace were the best at changing their minds. Seeing that their backer was dead, they changed their minds. Disciple A quickly took out a box of elixir from his pocket and gave it to Mo-Ba. Gunslinger, this is the elixir for the test, please accept it. Gunslinger is so strong, so strong. We followed the wrong person, Gunslinger. Gunslinger, please take us as your followers, we'll serve you well. Disciple B said quickly. Right, Master Yang? No, I have an elixir here as well. Gunslinger, I'll find it for you. With that, Disciple A found a box from Master Yang's corpse and gave it to Mo-Ba. Mo-Ba didn't take it, turning to Naipeo instead. Killing these 2 was up to Naipeo, and Mo-Ba couldn't make the decision himself. Since you 2 are so sincere, then give it to me. Naipeo looked at the 2 boxes and said to Mo-Ba, take it. Yes, Gunslinger. Mo-Ba said as he accepted the boxes. Then we. Disciple A and Disciple B said quickly. Perfect, I'm lacking some people. If someone else comes in later, tell them what Mo-Ba said so we don't have to repeat it. Naipeo said faintly, but I won't mistreat you guys. If someone else comes in later and gets another elixir, I'll give it to you. 2 is enough for me. Thank you, Gunslinger. Gunslinger is so strong. Disciple A and Disciple B said gratefully. Maybe if there's more I'll give you guys one more. I won't let anyone who follows me suffer, Naipeo said with a wave of his hand. He was a loyal man and he was loyal to Pinliang as well as his followers, it was just that they followed the wrong master. Thank you so much. Gunslinger, you're the best. Disciple A and Disciple B said. Chapter 28:16. Yes, pal bro. The two disciples of the Dark Palace quickly replied. And so, Naipeo sat cross-legged on the ground and practiced, with Mo Ba guarding him. The disciples of the Dark Palace stood at the entrance, waiting for more participants to come. Sure enough, not long after, he heard voices coming from outside again. If Lin Yi was here, he'd be able to tell that it was Li Siba and Zhao Qikuan from the Holy Fist Palace. The two of them met on the way to a safe place. Although they were teleported to different places, the general direction was similar, so when they rushed to a safe place, they coincidentally walked together. The two of them were very excited when they saw the safe place on the map. After all, they had gotten the elixir and came here without a hitch. It was something worth celebrating, especially Zhao Qikuan. He didn't even think that he would be able to get the elixir, nor did he think that he would be able to find a safe place without a hitch. All of this made him feel very lucky. We're finally here, Li bro, I wonder if the others are here? Zhao Qikuan sighed as he came to the safe place. Yeah, I don't know, let's go take a look first, Li Siba said. With that, the two of them entered the safe place. But when they saw the two Dark Palace disciples guarding the entrance of the safe place, they were obviously stunned. You guys are... Li Siba recognized the two disciples from the Dark Palace and asked curiously. You're here to rest, right? The Dark Palace disciple A barked. We're Gunslinger Naipeo's underlings, we can rest here, but you must hand over the elixir. Of course, if you don't have the elixir, then scram. Li Siba wasn't too happy with the arrogant attitude of the Dark Palace disciple, but when he heard that they were Naipeo's underlings, his face froze. Naipeo was here? He and Zhao Qikuan raised their heads and looked in. Indeed, Naipeo was sitting on the ground practicing, and beside him was his underling Mo Ba. Not far away there was a corpse. Wasn't that young Master Yang from Blazing Mountain? Li Siba naturally wasn't a stranger to this. His lips twitched a couple of times. It seemed that Master Yang had fallen into Naipeo's trap as well, getting into a conflict with him here. It seemed that Naipeo had finished him off. Qikuan was weak and Lin Yi wasn't here. Naturally he listened to Li Siba. He looked up at Li Siba, not knowing what to do. Qikuan had been quite happy. He thought that he could finally relax after reaching a safe place, but who would have thought that he'd run into Naipeo here? Li Siba was the same as well. This was what it meant when enemies met. His fellow disciples were crippled by Zhang Naipeo, and were carried back to the sect before they could even participate in the test. But now that Lin Yi wasn't here, Li Siba had no one to rely on. He wasn't an idiot. Going against Naipeo at a time like this wouldn't do him any good. After some hesitation he said, all right, we'll give the elixir to Gunslinger and rest here. At least you know what's good for you. Disciple A laughed heartily as he took the elixir from Li Siba and Qikuan, handing it over to Naipeo. Naipeo saw that the two had handed over the elixir obediently, and didn't make things difficult for them. He had the ability to kill them, but there would be a price to pay. The wasp absorption art was strong, but it could only absorb the energy of practitioners below Earth class. Those above Earth class would die easily if they used it. And so, Naipeo wouldn't use it so casually, especially after what Lin Yi had done to him. What he was relying on now was his other mystical technique. Of course, this technique was powerful, but it was also a self-destructive move. If it were possible, Naipeo wouldn't use it so casually. He'd just use it as a deterrent. Plus, he'd just been injured, and getting injured again wouldn't be good for him. As for his ultimate skill, he didn't plan on using it, that was his trump card, and he wouldn't use it unless he absolutely had to. Putting aside the fact that using it would expose his ultimate skill, just using it once would use up a lot of chi and stamina. And so, Naipeo chose to let Li Siba and Qikuan go. But he could still mock them a little. Naipeo looked at Li Siba and Qikuan, mocking them faintly. Don't think that you'll be fine just because you're on Lin Yi's side. I want Lin Yi dead as well. Don't even think that he'll be able to avenge you, it's useless. Li Siba and Qikuan looked at each other, not retorting. There was no point in doing so right now. They had to wait for Lin Yi to come and fight back. Otherwise, no matter what they said, it wouldn't change anything. Plus, Li Siba and Qikuan's main goal right now was to stay alive. Retorting a little might be satisfying, but it wouldn't be worth it if they got killed. Naipeo saw that the two were silent, and he didn't say anything else. He turned to Demon 8, we have 4 herbs now, right? Yes, Gunslinger, Demon 8 said respectfully. And Naipeo nodded and took out another herb from his bag, handing it to Demon 8. Give this back to the disciples of Dark Palace. They used to be the followers of that Yang from Fiery Mountain, but they've changed their ways and became Naipeo's followers. I, Naipeo, have always taken good care of my followers. They'll benefit greatly if they follow me. Ah? The two disciples thought that Naipeo was just saying it casually, not expecting him to put it into action so quickly. They were overjoyed. Disciple A said gratefully, "Thank you, Gunslinger. It's great to follow Gunslinger. Yeah, it's much better than following that Linny. Look at those two, they're in such a miserable state." Ah. Disciple B said flatteringly. Naipeo was doing this for Lisiba and Chikuin to see as well. He didn't say it out loud and was just about to drop a hint when Night Palace Disciple B said it for himself. It made him very happy. Chapter 28:17. And so, he used the hint to tell Lisiba and Chikuin that he was taking care of his followers. These two might have been Master Yang's followers before, but now that they were with Naipeo, Naipeo would let bygones be bygones and still take care of them. Lisiba and Chikuin, on the other hand, would receive the same treatment if they joined Naipeo. Chikuin and Lisiba, however, didn't care at all. The two thought to themselves that these two from Dark Palace didn't know the difference between Lin Yi and Naipeo. That was why they were following Naipeo. They knew that Lin Yi was stronger than Naipeo. Wasn't following Naipeo the same as well? Naipeo saw that Siba and Chikuin didn't have any reaction, so he didn't say anything else. He'd already hinted at it and it was very obvious. Naipeo didn't want to keep talking about it. There would be other practitioners coming soon anyway. He'd just have to scare them a bit more and they'd be on his side. After a while, a lone cultivator came looking for him. This lone cultivator was a guest cultivator from the endless West Sea. He had the strength of a heaven-class early stage, but he came alone and didn't have any pills. He wanted to hide and rest here, but was stopped by two disciples of the Dark Palace. When the freelancer found out that Naipeo was robbing here, he didn't even dare say a fart before leaving, knowing that he wasn't strong enough. Ordinary rogue cultivators, even if they were affiliated with a sect or family, would not dare to be too arrogant. They would be careful when doing things, unlike the direct descendants of sects and families who had backing. Their strength had not come easily, so they did not dare to easily provoke stronger people. Lisiba and Chikuin didn't say anything about the freelancer leaving. They didn't have the ability to stand up for others, and it was already good enough that they could protect themselves. After who knew how long, two more people came to the safe area. These two were Feng Shipian and Guxian, who had met Lisiba and Chikuin on the way here. They were very happy to see Lisiba and Chikuin, but Naipeo's presence made them hand over their herbs. They only had one, but Naipeo didn't say anything and let them rest. Perhaps Naipeo still hadn't given up on Lin Yi's followers. He was waiting for an opportunity, a chance to shock and conquer Lin Yi's followers. This would be the biggest blow to Lin Yi's confidence. In actuality, with Feng Shipian and Lisiba, these two sky-class masters, they weren't weaker than Naipeo's group in terms of strength, but Naipeo's techniques were just too weird, and those who hit him would get injured for no reason. So, Feng Shipian and Lisiba chose to stay silent and not fight with Naipeo. In fact, they were all waiting for Lin Yi. Without Lin Yi here, even if they were sky-class, they wouldn't dare make a move. The four sat in a corner of the safe area. They didn't talk to Naipeo, and Naipeo, on the other hand, didn't seem to be looking for trouble. It seemed like they were safe for now. Where's Yang Chichi? Have you guys seen her? Chikuin knew Lin Yi better. He knew that if Yang Chichi had nothing to do with Lin Yi wouldn't bother with her time and time again. Especially since this girl was always biting the hand that fed her. Chikuin felt that there had to be something between the two, and that was why he was worried about her. Yang Chichi? Didn't see her. Feng Shipian shook his head and Guxian shook her head as well. I wonder how she's doing. She's a girl, I hope nothing bad happens to her. Chikuin sighed. They were talking when footsteps came from outside the safe place. After a while someone walked in. Who else could it be if it wasn't the Yang Chichi they were looking for? Chikuin was overjoyed. Chichi, you're here too? That's great, we're all here. We're just missing the boss. But before Chichi could reply, Disciple A spoke up coldly. This is Gunslinger Zhang's turf. If you want to rest here, you'll have to hand in your medicine. Otherwise, I'm sorry, but you'll have to leave. Medicine. Chichi blinked. I don't have it. Why is this Zhang Naipeo's turf? Isn't this? Our Pao bro was the first to arrive here, so of course he'll take over this place. If you want to come, then hand over your trial elixir. If you don't want to come, then scram. Disciple A said coldly. She's with us, she's just a girl, why are you making things difficult for her? Feng Shipian couldn't take it anymore. He stood up and turned to the two disciples. We're giving you our medicine, isn't that enough? You guys are yours, she's hers. Disciple B had Zhang Naipeo backing him up, so he didn't put Feng Shipian in his eyes at all. This is a rule set by Gunslinger. We can't treat people differently because of their genders. If you don't like it, you can talk to Gunslinger. Feng Shipian's face was green as he looked at Naipeo, not daring to get angry. Zhang Naipeo, you're strong, but you don't have to do this, do you? What's wrong with me? Do I need to be kind to the followers of my enemies? They're not my followers. Naipeo said disdainfully. If you were my followers, then I'd make an exception, but you're not at all. What right do you have to talk to me about this? All right, if she insists on coming in, then I'll have to kill her. This is a rule I set and I can't change it. You? Feng Shipian was speechless. He hesitated. Then I'll switch with her, okay? I'll leave and let her come? Had there such a thing as switching? Once this precedent was set, the people who came later would be replaced one by one. Once they had enough rest, they would be replaced by the next. Would I still be able to do this business without any capital? Are you an idiot? Naipeo denied it right away. Don't say stuff like that. Forget it, I was planning on going somewhere else anyway. Since Linny isn't here, I'll be going. Chi-Chi was pissed off at Naipeo's face, but she'd been getting bullied since she got here, so she was used to it. Chapter 28:18. No, I have other important things to do. That's why I'm here. Chi-Chi said. Then, where are you going? I'll tell Brother Lin when he comes back? Feng Shipian didn't have a choice. He couldn't make Chi-Chi stay, but leaving was the best solution. Otherwise he really wouldn't know what to say to Naipeo. Did he really have to change sides and call Naipeo boss? 5 Fiends Mountains. Chi-Chi said. I'm actually here to tell you guys something. Chi-Chi's goal here wasn't to get the herbs, but to get to the 5 Fiends Mountains. Through a special channel, she knew about the existence of the 5 Fiends dragon. It was a spirit beast of the 5 elements, and every part of its body was a treasure. What she wanted was the scale of the claw of the 5 Fiends dragon. It was an earth element herb. At first, Chi-Chi didn't know how to get to the 5 Fiends Mountains. After all, the 5 Fiends Barrens was a huge place and Chi-Chi was completely clueless. But with Lin Yi's map, Chi-Chi could quickly lock onto the direction of the 5 Fiends Mountains. There was a clear mark on the map. Chi-Chi came to a safe place, but it was just along the way. She was planning to look for Lin Yi and see if he could come with her. It'd increase her chances of getting the scale, but Lin Yi wasn't here. She had to go alone. One was that Naipeo wouldn't let her in, and 2 was that she didn't know when Lin Yi would be back. There was a time limit to the test, and it had been 4 days already. She didn't want to waste any more time. Plus, even if Lin Yi came back, he might not come with her to the 5 Fiends Mountains. After all, she wasn't anyone to Lin Yi, and Lin Yi didn't need to go with her. And so Chi-Chi gritted her teeth and made her decision. She'd go to the 5 Fiends Mountains alone. This was actually a lot better than what she'd planned. At least she wouldn't get lost with a map. 5 Fiends Mountains? What is that place? Feng Shipian was stunned. He did not study the map carefully, and the 5 Fiend Mountain range was the opposite of where he was previously, so Feng Shipian did not pay much attention to it. I know. The 5 Fiends Mountain range is very dangerous. Why are you going there? Guxian carefully studied the map and knew that the 5 Fiend Mountain range was marked as an extremely dangerous place. There's something I need to find. Chi-Chi said. Alright, I'll be going first. If Lin Yi comes back, please thank him for me. Alright. Feng Shipian didn't feel safe letting Chi-Chi go alone, but the truth was that the 5 Fiends Wildlands was full of danger. The spirit beast here could kill him in one shot, and even if he went with Guxian, Li Siba, and Chikuan, they wouldn't be able to handle the danger. Therefore, Feng Shipian chose to stay here and continue to wait for Lin Yi. Chi-Chi left and Naipeo didn't stop her. Chikuan was worried as well, but there was nothing he could do. He could only wait for Lin Yi to come back as soon as possible. A day passed quickly and the next morning 2 more practitioners found a safe place. But this time, it was a disciple from the ancient Dongfang clan, an expert with the strength of a heaven-rank late-phase peak. Of course, his strength wasn't visible to the 2 disciples of the Dark Palace. When Dongfang Bushi brought his follower to a safe place, Disciple A said as if it was a routine matter. This is Gunslinger Zhang's turf. If you want to rest here, you must hand in your medicine. Otherwise, I'm sorry, but you'll have to leave. Slap. What Disciple A got in return wasn't an answer, but a huge slap to the face, sending him tumbling backwards. Blood poured out of his ears. Evidently, this wasn't a light slap. One had to know that this was a sky-class late-phase peak. Even a casual slap would be quite powerful. Shut up. Who do you think you are? Watchdog Zhang Naipeo? Who the hell is Zhang Naipeo? I'll rest here if I want to, and it's not up to you to tell me if I don't want to. You want me to hand in my medicine? Dongfang Bushi glared. Zhang Naipeo is it? Hand over all of your spiritual herbs to me. Otherwise don't blame me for being impolite. Dongfang Bushi was arrogant, but he had the right to be arrogant. He was an expert at the peak of the late phase of heaven class, which was the highest level below the heavenly Tao. Even though he hadn't reached the great perfection, he was someone who looked down on all cultivators. He was as powerful as he could be. Now that he was being robbed by a mere earth class from the Dark Palace, he was quite displeased. It was only now that Dongfang Bushi's sky class late phase peak was revealed. The other disciple jumped in fright and quickly hid to the side, not daring to make a sound. Naipeo frowned as well. He didn't think that there would be an earth class late phase peak here. He was already feeling a bit weak against that sky class mid phase peak Master Yang before, and if it wasn't for the little recovery pill and his practitioner's arts, he probably wouldn't be able to win at all. But now this Dongfang Bushu was a sky class late phase peak, and Naipeo really didn't have the confidence to take him down. After all, he might get hurt or even die if he hit him, but Naipeo himself might die as well. A sky class late phase peak's technique wasn't something to be messed with. The two of them might die at the same time, and Naipeo didn't dare test it out. Plus, Naipeo's wounds weren't completely healed yet, and if he were to get hurt again he might really die here. So without a choice, Naipeo had to use his ultimate move. He was planning on using this on Lin Yi, but if he didn't use it on this Dongfang Bushu, then he wouldn't be able to save himself. Dongfang Bushu, right? Ah, that's a good name, but it's a waste to use it on you. It should be me. Naipeo finished his training and stood up. Alright, I've decided. After I kill you I'll be called Dongfang Bushu. Chapter 28:19. Cough cough. Naipeo almost fainted from coughing after hearing the words. Didn't Dongfang Bubi castrate himself? How come he has a great-grandson like you? It's normal, I'm from Dongfang Bubi's cousin's branch. Dongfang Bubi explained, his face red. In actuality, the current head of the house, Dongfang Chaochuan, didn't know if Dongfang Bubi had anything to do with them or not, but the ancient Dongfang house was using this identity as a descendant of Dongfang Bubi to scare people off. Oh, I thought you had the secret to making babies. Naipeo said, a little disinterested. That heaven and earth grand shift you're talking about, I've only seen it on TV. I don't practice heaven and earth grand shift. I don't care if you do or not, don't worry, I won't attack you first. I'll take care of your followers right now, and as long as I don't attack you, your heaven and earth grand shift won't work on me. Dongfang Bubi was certain that Naipeo practiced heaven and earth grand shift. Alright. How about I hit you first? Naipeo said without a change in expression. You hit me? Come on, as long as you can do anything to me. Dongfang Bubi curled his lips, evidently not taking a sky class like Naipeo seriously at all. You're the one who told me to. Naipeo humphed coldly. Don't blame me for not reminding you. You're just a sky class early phase, so what if I let you hit me first? Dongfang Bubi said. Dark Hell Demon Fist. Naipeo quickly channeled his practitioner's arts and made a weird hand seal before punching out at Dongfang Bubi's head. Dongfang Bubi had been on guard the entire time, channeling his practitioner's arts and using his chi to protect himself. He was also ready to dodge at any moment, and when he saw Naipeo's fist coming at him, he took 2 steps back, wanting to dodge. What he didn't expect was for Naipeo to stop already, and his fist stopped in midair. But just as Dongfang Bulu was wondering what Naipeo was doing, the chi on his fist didn't stop at all, it went straight into Dongfang Bulu's mind. Ah! Dongfang Bubi immediately roared. His eyes turned crimson, and his hands started waving around crazily. As if he was greatly stimulated, he suddenly knelt on the ground and used his hands to pull at his hair. Then he suddenly jumped up and spun around on the spot. Young Master Dongfang, what's wrong with you? His follower was shocked by Dongfang Bushu's strange behavior. He asked in alarm. Dongfang Bulu didn't answer at all. He just shook off his follower, causing the follower to stumble and almost fall to the ground to his death. His follower was only in Earth class mid-phase, how could he withstand that? However, this follower had the heavy responsibility of accompanying Dongfang Bulu. If anything happened to Dongfang Bulu during the trial, then he would not have a good time when he returned to the Dongfang family. He was only an ordinary disciple of the Dongfang family. Plop. Dongfang Bulu actually knelt on the ground and started kowtowing. Other than Naipeo, everyone present was very surprised. Just what was going on with him? Dongfang Bulu kept kowtowing as he shouted some unknown incantation. All of a sudden, Dongfang Bulu turned around and ran out of the safe area, rushing outside. Who knew what he was going to do? The follower was startled and hurriedly ran after him. In the end, he saw Dongfang Busheng rushing towards a large spirit beast that was crawling on the ground. When the crawling spirit beast saw Dongfang Bulu rushing over, especially when it sensed his peak late-stage heaven-rank strength, it immediately became vigilant. It looked at the approaching Dongfang Bulu and roared, "Roar!" However, Dongfang Bulu didn't seem to hear the spirit beast's roar as he rushed towards it. This situation shocked the people in the safe area. That was a huge spirit beast. Not even a sky-class late-phase peak full circle would be a match for it, let alone Dongfang Bulu. As expected, the follower watched as the spirit beast swung its tail and smacked Dongfang Bulu to the ground. How powerful was that crawling spirit beast? Dongfang Bulu twitched a little after being smacked to the ground, and his eyes rolled back as he went to the west to seek for scriptures. This scene was witnessed by the people in the safe place. Because it was a straight line, even if they were in the safe place they could see it clearly through the entrance. This made the people in the safe place feel a chill down their spines. If one were to say that Master Yang killing Naipeo after hitting him was a weird thing, then what was happening right now was even more unbelievable. He didn't know what technique Naipeo used, but it was as if Dongfang Bushua had gone insane, charging to the spirit beast's side and getting beaten to death. Dongfang Bushu's followers stared blankly at the scene in front of him, not knowing what to do. Dongfang Bushu was dead and he didn't know what to do. At this moment his mind was blank. He only thought of running away or dying together with Dongfang Bushu. However, the follower's rationality and loyalty made him wait for the spiritual beast to leave before he carefully collected Dongfang Bushu's corpse. He then slowly walked towards the teleportation formation. If he had known this would happen, he would not have chosen to rest in a safe place with Dongfang Bushu. Even if he had to forcefully persuade him, he would have made Dongfang Bushu leave this place. But there was no medicine for regret in this world, and the follower couldn't do anything about it. Whether or not he could reach the teleportation circle safely with the body was another matter, but no matter what, he did his best. After collecting the body, he didn't even look back at the safe area, and didn't dare say anything to Naipeo. Naipeo was just too strong. After all, a sky-class late-phase peak had died in such a strange way. "You overestimate yourself," Naipeo said faintly. Naipeo said faintly as he turned to Amoba. "Amoba, give our friend from the Dark Palace a small recovery pill, he's injured as well." Chapter 28-20. Feng Shipian and Li Siba looked at each other, not saying anything. They knew that Naipeo was trying to win their hearts, but Feng Shipian wasn't the type of person to go back on his word. He wouldn't go over to Naipeo's side right now. After Chi-Chi left, everyone was in a safe place. Naipeo wanted Feng Shipian to go over to his side, but he didn't threaten him. If he did, he wouldn't be able to hurt Lin Yi, and that would be pointless. He didn't need people like Feng Shipian anymore. He had a lot of them in the everyday sect, so why would he need people like Feng Shipian? He just wanted to hurt Lin Yi. In truth, Feng Shipian and Li Siba had missed a golden opportunity. Naipeo was extremely weak right now, and after using that dark demon fist, he'd used up all of his chi and stamina. He'd need some time to recuperate, and there was no way he could fight again. He was completely defenseless right now, and even a golden class could kill him in one hit. This was the biggest flaw of this ultimate technique. If there was no need, he would absolutely not use it. Of course, this was also a common flaw of some ancient heaven-defying martial skills. Otherwise, if a cultivator mastered this heaven-defying martial skill, then he could challenge many experts by himself. Then, the balance of the cultivation world would be lost. Right now, Naipeo's technique was completely based on the fact that he wasn't on the same level as everyone else. After killing Dongfang Bulu, it was a huge shock to the others and no one dared to fight him. This gave him time to recover. If he hadn't been hit by young hero Yang, he wouldn't have been in such a sorry state. At least after using the Dark Demon Fist he still had some stamina. He wouldn't have been killed by a Huang-class cultivator. At the very least, only a cultivator of the same level could kill him. However, because of young hero Yang's move, he had already wasted a lot of his true chi. Before he had fully recovered, Dongfang Bulu had come and caused the current situation. Naipeo's heart was beating like a drum, but he didn't show any fear in front of Chi-Chi. He was still as strong as ever, and Feng Shipian and Li Siba didn't dare do anything rash. Naipeo and Demon 8 would have been dead by now. But it wasn't their fault. They didn't have a golden finger. They weren't like Lin Yi, who could tell if Naipeo's chi was full or not. It wasn't until Naipeo's chi had recovered enough for him to use the dark demon fist again that a smile of relief appeared on Naipeo's face for a brief moment. In the CEO office of the Liu family's company in Beijing, Qianli was in the middle of correcting reports and his smoking cravings kicked in. He reached for the box of cigarettes on the corner of the table, only to realize that the pack was empty. Secretary Zhang. Qianli pressed the call button for the secretary's office. Bring me another pack of cigarettes. President Liu, what brand do you use? Secretary Zhang asked quickly. The one Mr. Lang gave me before. Qianli said. Ever since he smoked the special cigarettes Mr. Lang gave him, he'd lost interest in other types of cigarettes. They weren't satisfying at all. Only Mr. Lang's cigarettes were satisfying. President Liu, Mr. Lang's cigarettes are out. The one I gave you before was the last pack. Would you like to look for something else? Secretary Zhang asked. Out? Qianli paused, realizing that it was about time. He was a fast smoker and Mr. Lang didn't give him a lot of cigarettes. It was normal for him to finish it quickly, but he wasn't satisfied with the rest. Bring me 2 packs then. All right, President Liu. After hanging up, Secretary Zhang quickly walked in from the secretary's office and gave Qianli a few packs of cigarettes, all different brands. Qianli quickly opened one pack and put it in his mouth. He lit it up and took 2 puffs. He couldn't help but frown. This isn't good to smoke, it's boring. President Liu, why don't I go out and look for cigarettes of Mr. Lang's brand for you? There's an imported cigarette store near the company, I'll see if there's any there. Secretary Zhang asked carefully. It's okay, you can't buy it. It's Mr. Lang's special cigarettes. I'll make a call myself. Qianli waved his hand and dialed Mr. Lang's number. Mr. Liu? Why are you calling me all of a sudden? Isn't our cooperation going well? Mr. Lang picked up quickly and asked passionately. Mr. Lang, that's not why I'm calling you. It's a private matter. Qianli said. It's about the cigarettes you gave me before. Do you have any more? I'm used to it and I'm not used to other types of cigarettes. Can you give me 2 more? If not, I can buy them with money? We're partners, why are you talking about money for such a small matter? Mr. Lang said nonchalantly. It's just a few cigarettes. Why would I need money? Thank you, Mr. Lang. Qianli was overjoyed. Then I'll ask my secretary Zhang to go get it from your hotel? There's no need, President Liu. I'll go there myself. However, it just so happens that I have something else to discuss with you. As for the cigarettes, logically speaking, it's not a problem for me to give you a few cartons, but... President Lang paused. Mr. Lang, is there a problem? Qianli's heart skipped a beat as he asked. It's not a problem. It's just that there's only 1 carton left and that's all I have. I'm here to talk business with you and this is all I've brought. Mr. Lang said. Just 1. Qianli thought to himself. How was 1 enough for him? He could only smoke half a cigarette a day and this would be gone in 2 days, and this was under the condition that he was saving. Then, can't I ask your company to send some more over? Qianli asked. Qianli didn't know what to say, but he didn't know what to say. About that, let's talk about it after I get there. There are some things I wanted to talk to you about as well. Mr. Lang said. All right, I'll be waiting for you in my office. Qianli quickly said as soon as he heard that there was hope. If Qianli had X-ray vision, he'd be shocked. That Mr. Lang was always standing, like a slave beside a young man who was sitting in a boss chair. That young man was probably the boss behind the scenes. Chapter 28-21. This young man was none other than Jianghu, who had been depressed for a long time. He was held back by many people in East Ocean City. Now that he had a good opportunity, he came to Yanjing City and started his business of swindling people without any capital. Good job, little Chuanhu, Big Scorpion didn't come this time, and you can handle things on your own now. Mr. Lang, you're really good at acting. Jianghu nodded in satisfaction. Haha, that's all thanks to Master Wen's help. Plus, without the help of the hypnotist, Liu Qianli wouldn't have gotten hooked so easily. At the very least, he'd be suspicious of the cigarettes, Mr. Lang or little Chuanhu said respectfully. And go. Today is the first step of our plan, Jianghu said to little Chuanhu. Yes, Master Wen, little Chuanhu replied and went to Liu Qianli's company with Cui Mianshi. Jianghu, on the other hand, smiled coldly as he watched the two leave. Lin Yi wasn't in Donghai right now and this was Yanjing. No matter how capable Lin Yi was, he wouldn't be able to guess that he was the mastermind behind this. Little Chuanhu and Cui Mianshi came to Liu Qianli's company together, and Liu Qianli couldn't wait to welcome them in the company's guest room. Mr. Lang, Assistant Cui, welcome. Liu Qianli's craving for cigarettes had reached a point where he couldn't sit still anymore. He looked at the bag in Cui Mianshir's hand, wanting to ask but feeling a little embarrassed. Mr. Liu, I'm sorry, this is the last carton of cigarettes left. I didn't think that this thing would be so popular. My old friends got one each and we're pretty much done with it. You got quite a lot and the others only got one. Little Chuanhu shrugged helplessly. Mr. Lang, the last carton? Lu Qianli couldn't hold back his craving anymore. He had smoked cigarettes before but he never got addicted to them. This time was different. He felt a little strange but the craving was quickly pushed to the back of his mind. I've brought it. Mr. Lang, let's talk about something first? Don't worry, I'll leave the cigarettes for you in the end. You're not in a hurry, are you? Xiaochun patted Tianli's shoulder with a smile. Okay. Tianli thought. Why wasn't he in a hurry? I'm about to die from anxiety. However, he couldn't say that. He was the CEO of the group. How could he say something like that? Wouldn't that be a joke? So even if Tianli wanted to smoke, he had to hold it in. He made an inviting gesture. Mr. Lang, Secretary Cui, please have a seat. I wonder what you guys are here to discuss with me this time? Chief Lu, I'm here to discuss a business deal with you, Xiaochun said. Business? Tianli paused. Mr. Lang, didn't we just sign the contract? Didn't we already agree on the deal? Why do you want to discuss business again? Haha, the previous business of purchasing medicinal herbs was related to purchasing medicinal herbs. It has nothing to do with this. Xiaochun waved her hand and said, actually, this is a business opportunity that I have just discovered. It will be beneficial to you too, Xiao Lu. Beneficial to me too? What kind of business is that? Tianli asked curiously. It's like this. I came here to sign a contract with your company, but I found another business opportunity at the same time. That is, our special cigarettes are very popular here. Many of my old friends have tried them and still want more. Mr. Lu, you have experienced it firsthand. How much do you think these cigarettes should be worth? Xiaochun asked. Meh. Tianli paused. As long as it's not ridiculously expensive, I can accept it. After all, with my current status, I can afford even the most expensive cigarettes. Isn't that it? Mr. Lu, if that's what you think, then don't all my rich friends think the same? If I import these cigarettes in bulk, they should be very popular in the rich circle, right? Xiaochun said. It's not an exaggeration to say that the demand can't keep up with the supply. That's true. Mr. Lang, if you want to do this business, then I'm all for it. I will become one of your customers. Tianli said. Mr. Lu, I do want to do this business, that's right, but I want to work with you. Xiaochun said, as you know, my company has just signed an agreement with your company to purchase medicinal herbs. However, your company only paid a down payment. The full payment will only be made after we see the goods. However, my company has to pay a large amount of cash to purchase the medicinal herbs. Only after your company has settled the payment can we start to work again. In this way, my capital chain will be stretched. This is also the reason why I came to you. You should understand now, right? Lu Chunchun nodded and said, you know that my company has just signed an agreement with your company to purchase medicinal herbs. I understand, so that's how it is. Tianli nodded. What Mr. Lang said made sense. It was true that their company needed a large amount of cash to buy the herbs, but if they wanted to get their money back, they would have to settle the payment after the goods were delivered. That way, it was normal that they wouldn't have enough money to do other businesses. However, this was an industry he had never been in contact with before, and Tianli was the conservative type. He didn't have the spirit to expand, so he couldn't help but hesitate. Mr. Lu, this is a very promising business. Our Mr. Lang didn't look for anyone else but you. Actually, it's also because we're familiar with each other. Our two companies already have a cooperative relationship, and we trust each other even if we do anything else. Cui Mianshir spoke up suddenly. Oh. Tianli paused, and the hesitation in his eyes turned into decisiveness. But he didn't notice the change himself. Then how much profit is this cigarette business? 200%. Xiaochun put up 2 fingers. Mr. Lu, if you invest 10 million, you'll get 20 million in return. That much? Tianli's eyes widened. He didn't expect money to come in so quickly. He was a little tempted, but he still asked, but importing tobacco would be troublesome, wouldn't it? The procedures and stuff like that would be very complicated. Even with my power, I don't think I can do it. Procedures for what? Xiaochun waved her hand. How can there be such a huge profit if it's a legal import? Chapter 28-22. It's smuggling. Xiaochun said disapprovingly. I have my own channels. Otherwise, how do you think we got in with such a low price, Mr. Lu? If we go through the legal channels, we'll lose a lot of money with the tariffs. How are we going to make money then? So it's smuggling. Qianli's face changed instantly, his heart wavering. He didn't want to get involved in Mr. Lang's business anymore. Mr. Liu, we're just saying it casually and you're just listening. We can't go back on our word once we leave, Cui Mianshi said. What Mr. Lang means is that you only need to invest, and then you don't have to worry about anything else. The contract we'll sign will be our company borrowing from your company, and we'll pay you back with high interest. That way whatever we do will have nothing to do with you, Mr. Liu. You don't have to worry about anything. That's true. Qianli didn't know why, but he felt much better after hearing Cui Mianshi's words. He nodded. Alright, we can work together then. How much do I need to invest? 30 to 50 million is enough for the initial stage, not too much, Xiaoqun said. He was planning to cast a long line to catch a big fish, and naturally he wouldn't use too much money to scare Qianli away. Although it would work with Cui Mianshi, it would make Lin Yi suspect that there was something wrong with it. It wouldn't look like a normal business scam then. Oh, it's not that much. Qianli nodded. Alright, we'll sign the contract now and I'll get the finance department to transfer the money to you. Straightforward. I knew Mr. Liu was a straightforward person, Xiaoqun said and turned to Cui Mianshi. Assistant Cui, take out the contract and let Mr. Liu have a look. Yes, Mr. Lang. Cui Mianshi took out the prepared contract from his briefcase and passed it to Qianli. Qianli didn't have much of a pioneering spirit, but he was still a careful businessman. He looked at the contract carefully, and after finding no problems, he signed his name and told his secretary Zhang to go through the financial process. Mr. Lang, can I have the cigarettes now? My addiction. Qianli couldn't hold it in anymore. Aha, of course. Lil, Cui, give it to Mr. Liu, Xiaoqun said. Alright, here you go, Mr. Liu. Cui Mianshi passed the cigarette to Qianli. Qianli, on the other hand, couldn't wait to open a pack of cigarettes and take one out, puffing out a cloud of smoke as he inhaled. Qianli's heart. Little Peach carefully knocked on the door of Heavenly Silkworm Transformation's room. These days, Heavenly Silkworm Transformation seemed to be in a bad mood. Except for the necessary tea and water, he didn't let Little Peach disturb him. Every day besides reading books he studied alchemy. He didn't care about anything else. Almost all the sex matters were reported to Heavenly Elixir Sect Master Qianji Xing. In the past, Heavenly Silkworm Transformation handled it for him. Oh, please come in, the Heavenly Silkworm Transformation said. Young Sect Master, it's me, Little Peach. Little Peach pushed open the door and said, Young Sect Leader, there is something that the sect's patriarch Xianzhen wants to tell you. He wants you to make a trip there. Tian. I'll be right there. When the Heavenly Silkworm Transformation heard that Xianzhen Patriarch was looking for him, he immediately put down the book in his hand and strode out of the room towards Xianzhen Patriarch's temporary residence. Little Peach patted her chest. She didn't know why, but she felt an indescribable pressure when facing the young sect master these past few days. It was as if the young sect master had distanced himself from her a lot, but it didn't seem like it, because the young sect master didn't really like anyone. Guess who I am? While Little Peach pondered the question, someone covered her eyes with a hand. Startled, Little Peach hurriedly reached out to push Kong Tiandao away and said, Big brother Kong, stop messing around. Ha, Little Peach, lil sis, you guessed it right away. Kong Ming Ming said with a smile. What's wrong, Peach lil sis? You don't seem to be in a good mood? Kong bro, the young master doesn't seem to be in a good mood these days. He's distanced himself from me. Did I do something wrong? Little Peach's status in the Heavenly Elixir sect was entirely because she was Qianli's maid. But without this identity, she was even worse than an ordinary disciple. How could she not be worried? Oh, the young master is quite polite to me. Kong Ming Ming was surprised. I feel that his attitude towards me is getting better and better. Is that so? Little Peach looked at Kong Ming Ming with a complicated expression. Could it be that the young master... Yeah. Kong Xiaoming nodded. Little Peach sis, aren't you thinking too much? I think it must be because the Heavenly Elixir sect's trial is not over yet. The young master is more worried about the results of this trial. He has been asking me if there are any trial takers who have returned successfully. He wants me to inform him as soon as possible. I see. Little Peach thought about it and agreed. It seemed that Qianli had been paying special attention to the results of the Heavenly Elixir sect's trial recently. It was understandable that he was in a bad mood. Thinking of this, Little Peach felt relieved. Qianli quickly arrived at Patriarch Xianzhen's courtyard. He knocked on the door and heard Patriarch Xianzhen's deep and kind voice. Please come in. Qianli walked into the courtyard carefully and entered Patriarch Xianzhen's room. He said respectfully, Master, I'm here. Qianli, you're here? Sit anywhere you like. Patriarch Xianzhen pointed to a cushion not far away. Yes, master. Tianli's real name was Tianli. He didn't have any objections to Patriarch Xianzhen's way of addressing him. He sat respectfully opposite Patriarch Xianzhen. Tianli, I heard that you haven't been in a good mood these few days? Patriarch Xianzhen put down the book in his hand and looked at Tianli warmly. Master. I feel that I can't do it. The young master's job is so tiring. I'm not made for this. Tianli lowered his head and didn't dare look Patriarch Xianzhen in the eye. I don't know when my sister will come back and if she can come back safely. Chapter 28-23. Master I? Tianbian was at a loss for words. He lowered his head and didn't know what to say. I don't want to do this, but I only like alchemy. I don't want to be the young head. I feel like it's a waste of time. Your sister, as a spy of the Five Elements sect, could have been the young head of the Heavenly Elixir sect for the rest of her life if she hadn't been used. But now that she's been used, it won't be long before she leaves. If you don't shoulder this responsibility, who will? Patriarch Xianzhen said, you and your sister are rare geniuses in alchemy and martial arts. But look at your sister, not only is she strong, her alchemy skills are no less than yours. She's also good at handling sect affairs. And look at you. Master, don't say any more. I understand, I will work hard. Tianbian's face turned red. He gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. He seemed to have made up his mind. Master, when my sister comes back, I will learn how to handle sect affairs from her. I won't let you and my sister down. That's right. Patriarch Xianzhen nodded. All right, you're a smart person. There are many things you can understand with just a few words. I don't need to say more. You can go back now. Master, my sister, there's still no news? Tianbian asked carefully. This is her master's order and also her responsibility. Although I don't want her to take the risk, I have no choice for the sect's future. Ancestor Xianzhen stood up and said in a melancholic tone. He walked to Tianbian's side and patted him on the shoulder. You are a man, you must learn to be strong. Even if your sister doesn't come back, don't be sad because from now on, you are her. Yes. Tianbian took a deep breath and nodded. 5 Fiends Mountain Range. Although Lin Yi's second stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery had reached great completion, he still needed some time to recover his true qi. Spring Rain, 5th form. Lin Yi had just recovered enough true qi to activate Spring Rain from the heavens once, so he quickly activated the incantation for Spring Rain from the heavens. Tian Chan only felt that her whole body was warm, and her physical strength quickly recovered. She could even feel that Lin Yi was sweating profusely behind her. Although Tian Chan was anxious, there was nothing she could do. She could not help at all. The only thing she could do was to carefully hold onto the cliff and prevent the two people from falling down. Otherwise, all the previous efforts would be in vain. When Tian Chan's physical strength and true qi were replenished, she quickly jumped up and once again urged the 5 elements 8 trigrams palm, and then used both her hands and feet to hit the cliff. However, just as Tian Chan's palms were about to hit the precipitous cliff, Tian Chan's gaze suddenly froze and she cried out in surprise. This was because on the cliff where her right palm was about to hit, there was a protruding stone spike. This stone spike was exceptionally sharp. If this was just an ordinary stone spike with Tian Chan's strength, she could easily smash it into pieces. However, the 5 Fiends Mountain Range was extremely hard. Even the 5 elements 8 trigrams palm couldn't do much to the precipitous cliff, only leaving a shallow mark. One could imagine how hard it was. Therefore, when Tian Chan saw the spike, she was shocked. However, it was too late for her to change direction. She could only bite the bullet and slap it. Although the sound was not too loud, it made Tian Chan's heart tremble. She trembled in pain and her right palm was pierced by the spike. At this moment, Tian Chan groaned in pain. It hurts? Lin Yi also saw the scene in front of him and couldn't help but frown. He didn't expect to encounter such an unlucky thing. He quickly asked, Tian Chan, are you okay? How can I be okay? It hurts so much. Tian Chan cried, you're sitting behind me and enjoying the fruits of others' labor, but I'm suffering in front. This? I'm not really enjoying the fruits of others' labor. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. In any case, he was also quickly circulating the mantra to restore his physical strength. I don't care, you have to help me heal it. Otherwise I'll fall down. Anyway, when I fall down you'll be below. I'll crush you to death. Tian Chan said. I can heal it, but you have to first pull out your palm and give it to me. I can't touch your skin, so I can't transfer my physical strength and qi to heal you. Lin Yi said. Healing was different from the spring rain. The spring rain could transfer physical strength and qi without contact, But if healing couldn't be done, Lin Yi couldn't do anything. I can't. If I let go of one hand, I won't be able to hold the cliff. Both of us will fall down. Tian Shan said, Can't you just find a place to transfer your physical strength and qi? I can, but you have to pull out your hand. Otherwise there's a thorn in the middle of your palm. How can I heal it? Even if your palm is healed, there's still a thorn in the middle. You'll still be injured if you pull it out. Lin Yi said. If that's the case, then can I pull out my hand and grab the thorn with my hand? Tian Shan asked. That's fine. Lin Yi said. That's fine. Tian Shan carefully endured the pain and pulled out her palm from the thorn. Even though she was a practitioner, the pain at the moment was unbearable. Previously, when she fought with the Five Evils dragon, although she was injured more seriously, it didn't take long for her to faint. So, Tian Shan actually didn't suffer much pain. But now it was different. She could only endure it with a clear mind. But, I don't have a place to start. Lin Yi looked around at Tian Shan's body. There was no place to touch her skin, and the two were tied together by the yellow silk, so Lin Yi's mobility was greatly limited. He wanted to touch Tian Shan's hand, but he couldn't quite reach it. He barely touched it. Lin Yi couldn't use the art of dragon mastery in this tense position, so Lin Yi was a little embarrassed. He didn't know what to do. No, you don't know how to find. Tian Shan was a little anxious. Hurry up, it hurts. I can't hold it anymore. If you don't heal me, I'll fall. Well, you forced me. Lin Yi was a little helpless. He gritted his teeth and reached out his hands to Tian Shan's chest. This was the only place that wasn't covered by clothes, and it was the easiest place for Lin Yi to touch. Chapter 28-24. I'm healing you. I can't reach other parts, right? Lin Yi said with a bitter smile, so I'm offended. Anyway, I've touched it before. You won't suffer too much if I touch it alone? What kind of theory is this? You're the only one touching. Tian Shan was a little dumbfounded by Lin Yi, but thinking about it, her chest was probably the easiest part for Lin Yi to touch. With Lin Yi's current position, he could reach it with his hand. If she let Lin Yi touch other parts, it would really be a little difficult. Thinking of this, Tian Shan said helplessly, Then hurry up. Don't take advantage of the opportunity, or I will let go of my hand, and we will fall to our deaths. I won't fall to my death. I can heal myself, said Lin Yi. Healing will also make you suffer, said Tian Shan. Then, I'll start. Lin Yi's hand touched a piece of softness. Although he knew that he was healing Tian Shan, his mind inevitably had some fantasies, and his body had a physiological reaction again. Take care of your weapon or I will kick it to pieces when I go up. Tian Shan's face was red from Lin Yi's touch, and she said with hatred, I can't do anything about this. It shows that you are attractive. Lin Yi said with a bitter smile, Our healing is more important. Tian Shan snorted. Lin Yi didn't dare to take advantage of Tian Shan too much. He activated the second level of the art of dragon mastery and began to quickly heal Tian Shan. Soon, the injury on Tian Shan's hand began to heal, and in the blink of an eye, it became white and tender skin. I'm good. Let go of my hand. Tian Shan had an indescribable feeling from Lin Yi's touch. She didn't know whether it was comfortable or uncomfortable. In short, this feeling made Tian Shan a little crazy. Oh, okay. Although Lin Yi was reluctant, he quickly withdrew his hand to avoid Tian Shan calling him a pervert. Phew. Tian Shan let out a long sigh. Thinking about what happened just now, she didn't know why she was able to endure it. Was she really immune to his touch? Tian Shan shook her head. She didn't want to think about these things. She kicked hard with her legs and jumped up again, climbing to a higher cliff. After that, Tian Shan was a lot more careful, but she didn't encounter the same situation as before. The two of them walked and stopped from time to time. Finally, they successfully climbed up the Five Fiends mountain range, which made them both heave a sigh of relief. They're finally here. Tian Shan was a little emotional. In many cases, a peak late-stage heaven rank was an unreachable existence, but in some special places and situations, they were incomparably insignificant. For example, this time if it wasn't for Lin Yi, she wouldn't have been able to climb up the Five Fiends mountain range. In the Five Fiends mountain range, she would either die or wait for others to rescue her. When men and women work together, it's not tiring. Lin Yi laughed. You're so annoying. I'll kick you to death. I'm a peak late-stage heaven rank master. Now that we're up, do you believe that I won't kick you down again? Tian Shan said angrily. Do you believe that I won't hug you and roll down again? Anyway, the yellow silk between us is still there. It hasn't been untied yet. Lin Yi said. Tian Chan reached out and started to untie the yellow silk. Lin Yi also cooperated and helped her untie the yellow silk. After getting rid of the yellow silk, Tian Chan unconsciously wanted to stretch and relax her body. After all, she was carrying a heavy weight on her back which made her feel a little tired. Lin Yi just turned around and came in front of Tian Chan. He saw Tian Chan stretching. As a result, Tian Chan's beautiful figure was revealed. Without the yellow silk binding her chest, she stretched and jumped out of her clothes, which made Lin Yi stunned. "Yo, what are you looking at?" Tian Chan stretched and saw Lin Yi's drooling eyes. She was slightly stunned. "No, nothing." Lin Yi was shocked and quickly retracted his gaze. Even Lin Yi himself didn't understand why he would be like this to Tian Chan. Usually, it wasn't that he hadn't seen beautiful women. There were two at home, one next door and one at the same desk at school. Lin Yi always felt that his immunity and willpower were very strong, but in front of Tian Chan, these seemed to be non-existent. Lin Yi didn't know why Tian Chan had an indescribable attraction to him. "Okay, you peep." Tian Chan suddenly found where Lin Yi's gaze was. She found that her chest was empty, and she didn't have time to rebind the yellow silk. "It's not peeping, right? I'm standing here. It's your own carelessness," Lin Yi said with a bitter smile. "Besides, I've touched it and seen it. It's not a big deal. I don't want to hear it." Tian Chan made a gesture to kick Lin Yi. "You quickly forget it. Don't mention it to anyone." "Oh, hee, I forgot." Lin Yi smiled. "You are smiling so badly. It's obvious that you haven't forgotten." Tian Chan snorted and said. "I really forgot," said Lin Yi seriously. "Well, you've eaten your fill. You don't want to admit it?" Tian Chan glared at Lin Yi and said angrily. Lin Yi really had a headache. There was an old saying that women and villains were difficult to deal with. Now Lin Yi didn't know how to answer it. "You see, you haven't forgotten, right?" Tian Chan looked at Lin Yi proudly. "Are you testing me?" Lin Yi was speechless. Nothing is too deceitful in war. Tian Chan laughed hysterically. "When you laugh, I see it again," said Lin Yi. "You." Tian Chan stopped laughing. She turned around and picked up the yellow silk. "You're not allowed to look at it." Hee. Lin Yi smiled. "What are you laughing at?" asked Tian Chan. "Can't I laugh?" asked Lin Yi. "Of course not. Wait until I'm done before you laugh," said Tian Chan. Hee. Lin Yi smiled again. You're still laughing? Believe it or not, I'll kick you now. I'd rather you see me." Tian Chan turned around angrily and was about to kick Lin Yi. "Okay, stop fooling around. You quickly put on the yellow silk." "I won't look at it," said Lin Yi. Tian Chan turned around with some depression. She put on the yellow silk and calmed down. She also felt that she went a bit too far with Lin Yi. She wasn't like this in the past. She didn't know what happened today. I'm going to the teleportation array to go back. What about you? Let's go together?" Tian Chan hesitated for a moment and said to Lin Yi. Both of them came up. It was reasonable to say that they should separate. She didn't know why, but Tian Chan suddenly felt reluctant. Chapter 28-25. You still want to stay here?" Tian Chan pursed her lips and didn't say anything more. She just said, "Then, let's part ways here. Be careful." "Okay, hee. Which sector you from? Can you tell me?" Lin Yi raised his head and looked at Tian Chan. Seeing her hesitation, he added, "Hee, don't misunderstand. Rogue cultivators like you and I will eventually need to find a sect to rely on. If I have nothing to do after I get out, I might also rely on your sect." "Are you really planning to rely on an ancient sect?" Tian Chan was slightly stunned and then asked with some joy. "Of course, if I can't survive, I will definitely find an ancient sect to rely on," Lin Yi said. "Heavens?" Tian Chan didn't know why she almost blurted out the three words Heavenly Elixir Sect. But after saying the word, she immediately regretted it. So she quickly said, "Tian Chan is only temporarily staying in this sect. I may leave, so if you want to rely on an ancient sect, you can first spread the news in the ancient level. If I receive it, I will contact you." Hee, that's good. Lin Yi nodded. Since Tian Chan was unwilling to say, then Lin Yi didn't ask any more. "Then I will leave. See you again if fate allows it." "Wait." Tian Chan suddenly called out to Lin Yi. Lin Yi was stunned and turned to look at Tian Chan. "This is for you?" Tian Chan said, but she took a sachet from her waist and handed it to Lin Yi. "What is this? A token of love?" Lin Yi was stunned. "Are you looking for a kick?" Tian Chan's face suddenly turned red, and she stared at Lin Yi with her big eyes. "I was just joking." Lin Yi shrugged. "This sachet can disguise your aura as a spirit beast. You can wear it to protect yourself. Tian Chan said, it can avoid being attacked by spirit beasts. Lin Yi paused, thinking that this was some good stuff. But then he thought about it, a little confused. Then the dragon of 5 malefic from before. The 5 evils dragon is a high-level spirit beast. This sachet can only deceive spirit beasts below the heaven rank. It won't have any effect on those above the heaven rank. However, this can only disguise your aura. If you are too close to the spirit beast or provoke it, it will see through you. Tian Chan explained. Then, what are you going to do? Lin Yi was a little surprised. He didn't expect Tian Chan to give him such a thing. I will walk along the 5 evils mountain range. The 5 evils mountain range is the territory of the 5 evils dragon. There are no other spirit beasts. As long as I don't provoke the 5 evils dragon, I won't be in any danger. Tian Chan said, besides, I am lending it to you. The next time you see me, you have to return it to me. Alright, then I won't be polite. Lin Yi listened to Tian Chan and no longer pretended to be polite. He nodded and accepted the sachet. Tian Chan waved her hand at Lin Yi. Then I will leave. See you later. See you later. Lin Yi cupped his fists and strode down the 5 evils mountain range. Although there was a strong feeling of reluctance in his heart, he didn't look back. He and Tian Chan were destined to be people of 2 different worlds. If Tian Chan was related to the 5 Elements sect, she would definitely be Ancestor Xuanchan's people. As for himself, he was Boss Bai's people. No matter how good their relationship was, it was inevitable that they would stand on the opposite side in the future. At that time, it would be very difficult for both of them. Therefore, it was better to take advantage of their shallow friendship and not cross paths. Skybolt Pig, do you think Tian Chan is a good person or a bad person? After going down the mountain, Lin Yi asked Skybolt Pig. A good person. Skybolt Pig found a soft place and wrote these 3 words. Hee hee, you seem to be very close to her? Lin Yi asked, do you think she is pretty? You pervert. No, the aura on her body is similar to yours. Skybolt Pig shook his head and wrote, similar to mine? Lin Yi was slightly stunned, but he immediately understood. Tian Chan was also a cultivator of the 5 elements, and so was he. Then, it was understandable that Skybolt Pig said that their auras were similar. GG. Skybolt Pig nodded. Perhaps, it was really because he was very similar to Tian Chan that he had an indescribable good impression of her? Lin Yi thought about it. Perhaps this was the only explanation. After Lin Yi went down the mountain, he followed the direction on the map and rushed towards the safe place. At first, he didn't encounter any spirit beasts, but as he went further, some spirit beasts gradually appeared in the wilderness. It was the same situation as what Lin Yi encountered before. It seemed that the 5 Fiends Mountain was indeed a forbidden place for these spirit beasts. Only when he went further did he encounter some spirit beasts again. However, the sachet that Tian Chan gave to Lin Yi was very useful. As Lin Yi walked on the road, those spirit beasts saw Lin Yi from afar, but they didn't have the intention to attack him. Although they saw some low-level spirit beasts, they were only yellow-level spirit beasts, which Skybolt Pig's strength could completely suppress. But these spirit beasts didn't have the intention to approach him. Skybolt Pig, do you think I look like a spirit beast now? Lin Yi asked curiously. Oink oink. Skybolt Pig nodded, then shook his head. Alright. Lin Yi was just asking casually. Actually, Lin Yi didn't really want to understand the theory behind it. There were many treasures in the world of cultivation that didn't have any theory behind it. After a day and night of trekking, Lin Yi finally arrived at the safe place. Although Lin Yi's speed was already very fast, the 5 Fiends Wildlands was just too big. No wonder the trial gave everyone 15 to 20 days of buffer time. As he neared the safe place, Lin Yi frowned. This was because Lin Yi sensed that there was more than one heaven-ranked master in this safe place. There were 3 of them, or rather, 4 of them. Because Li Siba was a physical practitioner, Lin Yi's golden finger couldn't sense his strength. However, Lin Yi could sense the heaven-ranked masters. There were 3 heaven-ranked spiritual masters in this safe place. Could it be that there were other heaven-ranked masters hiding here besides Feng Shipian and Li Siba? Lin Yi's footsteps were a little hesitant. Whether they were friend or foe, Lin Yi wasn't sure. If Feng Shipian and Li Siba were really in there, then it would be fine. But if it wasn't them but another group of heaven-ranked masters, then Lin Yi wouldn't be a match for them. Chapter 28-26. Who are you? This is Zhang Naipeo's turf, and we're Gunslinger's men. It's fine to rest here, but you have to hand over the elixir. Of course, if you don't have the elixir, then scram. What Lin Yi didn't expect was that just as he was hesitating, a voice came from the safe zone. But that was to be expected. After all, Other than the safe zone, the other places were all empty plains. There was nowhere for Lin Yi to hide, and the people in the safe zone only needed to look outside to see where Lin Yi was. Zhang Naipeo? Lin Yi paused, not expecting Naipeo to take over this place. But, since the people in the safe zone had found him, there was no need for him to hide anymore. Lin Yi started walking towards the safe zone. Boss, you're here. Chikuan, on the other hand, was very excited. He jumped up from the ground and jumped out of the entrance. Behind him was Feng Shipian, Li Siba, and Gu Xian. Bro Lin, you're here. Feng Shipian, Li Siba, and Gu Xian, on the other hand, were only acknowledging Lin Yi as their captain. They hadn't thought about making him their boss yet. Gu Xian, on the other hand, was still a step away, but Feng Shipian and Li Siba were the pride of their sects and houses. The two of them were quite amicable, but acknowledging a boss was a very important thing. They had to think it through, especially when it came to a freelancer like Lin Yi. Chikuan, Shipian, Siba, Gu Xian, you're all here. Lin Yi relaxed upon seeing them. It seemed like Naipeo didn't do anything to them. Lin Yi was worried that they'd be fighting Naipeo alone, but Lin Yi didn't see Yang Qiqi behind them. He frowned. Where's Qiqi? It's a long story, but Qiqi said she came here to look for treasure. Chikuan said as he told Lin Yi about how Qiqi was chased away by Naipeo, and how she went on a treasure hunt on her own. Lin Yi's breathing tightened when he heard that Qiqi went to Five Fiends Mountains. Five Fiends Mountains was a dangerous place, and Lin Yi knew very well how dangerous it was. Qiqi going there alone made him worried for her. How many days has it been? 2 days, Chikuan said. 2 days. Lin Yi sighed. Qiqi should have reached Five Fiends Mountains by now. Qiqi practiced Qigong and her speed was very fast. Lin Yi had been gone for a day and a night, so Qiqi must have been there long ago. Plus, Lin Yi had been walking in a straight line, and Qiqi should have been walking in a straight line according to the map as well. The two should have met, and if they didn't, it meant that Qiqi used less than a day and a night to get to Five Fiends Mountains, so Lin Yi didn't see her. After all, the path Lin Yi took down wasn't the same as before. He'd been thrown out by the Five Fiends dragon for some distance, and this was where he'd brushed past Qiqi. Yeah. Chikuan nodded. That Five Fiends Mountains is marked as extremely dangerous on the map. I wonder how she's doing now. But we really couldn't fight Naipeo back then, sorry boss. It's fine, you guys weren't Naipeo's match anymore. It's normal that you didn't do anything. Lin Yi waved his hand, furious at Naipeo's actions. This was a shared area and he'd taken it over and started robbing them. What was he thinking? You guys gave all your elixirs to Naipeo? We had no choice. Shipian smiled bitterly and told Lin Yi everything that happened after Lin Yi left. They were talking about how Naipeo threw a punch at Dongfang Butang, making him run out of the safe area like a madman, only to be killed by the spirit beast. Naipeo's voice came from behind them. Alright Lin Yi, you've caught up with your follower. Are you going into the safe area or not? I thought you wanted to be a coward and not show your face. Naipeo walked out of the safe area and said mockingly to Lin Yi. Zhang Naipeo, I heard that your technique is similar to Heaven and Earth Grand Shift? But it's not the same. If I'm not wrong, your technique can't reflect the opponent's attacks back at you like Heaven and Earth Grand Shift. Part of it is reflected, and the other part is taken by you, right? Lin Yi had heard Shipian talk about young Master Yang before, and combined it with what he saw in the restaurant. Lin Yi had a general idea of the characteristics of Naipeo's technique. Haha, that's right, but Lin Yi, so what if you've guessed it? Naipeo paused after seeing that Lin Yi had guessed the characteristics of his technique, but he didn't care at all. He started laughing loudly. Why don't you keep guessing? I can keep guessing, but the only thing I'm not sure about is that when young Master Yang and the Yellow Earth Tyrant hit you, a part of their strength must have been transferred to you, and the part that was reflected back was the other part. But now, it seems like that's not the case because the other part of the strength wasn't enough to kill them. Lin Yi analyzed. Lin Yi, I have to admit that you're smarter than those reckless practitioners, but what's the use? Come bite me. Naipeo looked at him provocatively. I'm not afraid to tell you that this technique of mine is called Thorn Arts. When you hit me, 20% of the damage will be absorbed by my body, and 80% will be reflected back by my practitioner's arts. But, under the buff of my practitioner's arts, it's not 80% but 3 times that. That's 240%. That's a total of 240%. That's why these idiots killed themselves after hitting me. Chapter 28-27. At this moment in the trial ground there were very few recover pills. It was impossible for these trial takers to have this kind of elixir with them, unless they were the direct disciples of alchemy sects like the Heavenly Elixir sect. It was impossible for other sects to have it. Naipeo had revealed his trump card to Lin Yi, telling him that there was nothing he could do to him. He could only watch as Peo bullied him and his follower, and let him die of frustration. Of course, killing Lin Yi was something Peo didn't think about. He wanted to keep Lin Yi as a source of motivation for his training, and he wanted Pin Liang to be able to kill Lin Yi himself one day. Peo only wanted to vent his frustrations in this test, and that was why he wanted to turn Lin Yi's lackeys against him. I see. Lin Yi understood. I've guessed that you might have imbued some of your own qi into the rebound, but I didn't expect it to be this powerful. Lin Yi, just give up. I'm not afraid to tell you that with your current strength, this 20% damage won't do much to me. Plus, I have a small recovery pill with me. You'll die before I die. Peo said. But if you hand over the pill, I'll consider letting you go. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Oh? Is that so? Lin Yi smiled all of a sudden as he looked at Peo, his confidence returning. Thanks for telling me so much, answering my questions. Now I'm going to attack. Are you ready? You know, and you're still going to hit me? Peo paused as he looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. He couldn't understand why Lin Yi would attack him when he knew that he'd be rebounded. Why would he still attack him? How would I know if I don't try? Lin Yi said. You don't believe me? Peo was a little puzzled. Lin Yi didn't seem like the type of arrogant person who didn't understand what was going on. There'd been so many precedents, so why was Lin Yi still so nonchalant? It's not that I don't believe it, but sometimes, a miracle might happen. Lin Yi smiled and said, I'm going to make my move. Are you sure you want to stand here and let me hit you? Since you don't believe me, I can only let you try. However, let me give you a friendly reminder. You better not use your strongest move. Otherwise you will die very quickly. Peo said. It's fine if you die, but Liang Bro will be disappointed. He's planning on killing you himself. Zhong Ping Liang? Lin Yi chuckled. He has no chance. Do whatever you want. Peo stood there, not moving an inch as he looked at Lin Yi, waiting for him to make his move. Raging Fire 8 Trigrams Palm, 7th Style. Lin Yi started channeling the Fiery Fist's incantation before striking out with a palm towards Peo's chest. Peo didn't dodge at all, he just used his chest to block Lin Yi's palm, standing there waiting for Lin Yi to fly away. Bang! Lin Yi's Fiery 8 Trigrams palm landed on Peo's chest. Boom! At the same time that Lin Yi's palm landed on Peo's chest, Lin Yi felt a huge force bounce back from his palm, but that force disappeared without a trace the moment it touched Lin Yi's body, as if it had never been there in the first place. It was working. Lin Yi sighed in relief. It seemed like his prediction was correct. Just as Peo said, the force he bounced back was 240% of his strength, without any of Peo's chi in it. This chi belonged to the Earth class. This meant that he was wearing the mid-level cicada underwear, and the force was completely nullified by it. It seemed like Shu's words had come true once again. Prophet Shu really had foresight. Before he left, he put this mid-tier golden cicada underwear on him. He didn't expect it to have such a decisive effect. Knowing that the reflected force had no effect on him, Lin Yi let out a sigh of relief. A cold smile appeared on his face as he activated the Fiery 8 Trigrams Palm's 7th form. Fiery 8 Trigrams Palm's 7th form, 7th form. Lin Yi used the Fiery 8 Trigrams Palm's 7th form twice, a total of 3 times. Lin Yi's Fiery 8 Trigrams Palm was barely enough to take out a Sky Class early phase. Lin Yi had used this move to take out the Red Conch early phase Sky Class Master Zhuge, so Lin Yi didn't use the 8th form at all. The 8th form could only be used once and Lin Yi would be exhausted after that. The 7th form, on the other hand, could be used 3 times in a row. This way, the attack on Peo would be 60% of the normal Fiery 8 Trigrams Palm's 7th form. Peo would definitely be heavily injured. As expected, Peo's eyes flashed with disbelief as he spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground, holding his chest with both hands, unable to speak. He didn't think that Lin Yi would use 3 techniques in a row, and from the looks of it, Lin Yi didn't seem to be affected at all. He himself was the one who was heavily injured. It wasn't fatal, but it was quite serious. This was Lin Yi's limit. Lin Yi sighed with regret, but he couldn't use any more techniques, not even the 6th form. Feng Shipian Li Siba, you two worked together to kill Peo. A killing intent flashed in Lin Yi's eyes. Peo was simply too strong, so strong that Lin Yi was wary of him. Back in the Ice Palace, the rules didn't allow him to kill, so he spared Peo's life. But in the Sky Elixir sex test, there were no rules like that. And so, Lin Yi decided to get rid of Peo in case he went back and learned some weird arts. Lin Yi wouldn't be able to deal with him then. Feng Shipian and Li Siba paused. They were just about to cheer for Lin Yi, since Lin Yi didn't look like he was injured at all, yet he'd already beaten Nai Peo up. As far as they were concerned, Lin Yi's next step was to kill Nai Peo. Chapter 28. Brother Lin. You're. Feng Shipian looked at Lin Yi, confused. Lin Yi was just about to explain that he was exhausted and couldn't use any more skills, but when he looked up, he saw Mo Ba rushing over from the entrance. Lin Yi swallowed his words. Mo Ba's strength was not to be underestimated either. He was stronger than either Feng Shipian or Li Siba, and even if the two teamed up, they wouldn't have much of a chance of winning. Lin Yi was also afraid that Mo Ba would attack him, so Lin Yi didn't say anything else. Gunslinger, what's wrong? Mo Ba didn't have the time to think about Lin Yi's situation. All of his attention was on Nai Peo, and seeing how heavily injured he was, he panicked. In actuality, it looked like Lin Yi had used his skills 3 times during the fight between Lin Yi and Nai Peo, but it was all done in the blink of an eye. Nai Peo was on the ground in the blink of an eye, and Mo Ba didn't even have time to react before the fight was over. Small recovery pill. Nai Peo said to Mo Ba. Yes, gunslinger. Mo Ba quickly took out a pill and put it into Nai Peo's mouth. Nai Peo, on the other hand, closed his eyes and sat cross-legged on the ground, starting to digest the medicine. Lin Yi couldn't help but feel a sense of shame. With Mo Ba out, Feng Shipian and Li Siba wouldn't be able to kill Nai Peo anymore, unless they put their lives on the line and let Guxian and Chikuan attack Nai Peo. But if they did that, they might have to sacrifice Feng Shipian or Li Siba. For a disciple like the Everyday sect, they would put their lives on the line. Once Mo Ba put his life on the line, his explosive power would be very strong. Plus, Lin Yi didn't have the chance to tell Zhao Chikuan and the others what he was thinking. He didn't have the energy to play the sound trick anymore, and it wouldn't be able to fool a sky-class mid-phase like Mo Ba. While Nai Peo was healing himself, Lin Yi wasn't idling around either, using the second stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery to recover the chi he'd used earlier. At that moment, Feng Shipian and Li Siba saw that Lin Yi wasn't moving at all, his face a little pale as well. It was only then that they realized that Lin Yi had probably used up all his chi after using 3 techniques. That was why they had to go kill Nai Peo. They couldn't help but regret it. The opportunity was fleeting. Now that Devil 8 was here, it was impossible for them to make a move. Right now, Mo Ba was guarding Nai Peo vigilantly, and Feng Shipian and Li Siba didn't have any experience in teamwork. It was practically impossible for them to stop Mo Ba before attacking Nai Peo. And so, Feng Shipian and Li Siba followed Devil 8's example and stood in front of Lin Yi. Lin Yi was recovering his chi and they were guarding Lin Yi. And so, a strange scene unfolded in front of the safe place. Both groups were guarding, but they didn't make a move. They just stared at each other, not saying a word. Skybolt Pig was hiding far away, watching for any spirit beasts nearby. Fortunately, in the half an hour that Lin Yi was recovering his chi, and Nai Peo was healing himself, everything was fine. What? You're wearing the mid-class golden cicada underwear. Nai Peo sighed as he spoke to Lin Yi. In the half an hour that he was healing himself, Nai Peo kept thinking about why Lin Yi was fine. It shouldn't be possible after all. How could Lin Yi take 240% of the reflected damage? It wasn't very realistic. But after thinking about it for a long time, Nai Peo finally came up with a possibility. Pinliang's mid-class golden cicada underwear had been worn by Lin Yi. Nai Peo didn't know whether to laugh or cry at the thought. Lin Yi was an earth class, and the chi that was reflected back was naturally earth class. It was strong, but it was still an earth class. The mid-class golden cicada underwear would be able to defend against it no matter what, and this underwear had been gifted to Lin Yi by Pinliang. Nai Peo's loss this time was quite unfair. Looks like you're not stupid after all. Lin Yi stopped using the second stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery after seeing that Nai Peo had recovered. His chi wasn't fully recovered yet, but it was more or less recovered. I've forgotten about that. Nai Peo said as he looked at Lin Yi. He'd just recovered from his injuries and wasn't fully healed yet. If Lin Yi had recovered and used the same 3 moves again, he'd really be dead. You hate Pinliang a lot, don't you? Lin Yi asked with a smile. Humph, Lin Yi, don't get too cocky. I can kill you with a flip of my hand. Nai Peo smiled coldly. Is that so? Fire 8 trigrams palm 8 form. Lin Yi used the Fire 8 trigrams palm once again, striking towards Nai Peo. But this time Lin Yi used the 8th form, not the 7th form. In actuality, the reason why Lin Yi used the 8th form was because his real target this time was Demon 8. Attacking Nai Peo was just an illusion. If Demon 8 wasn't killed, he'd always be a hidden threat. Even if Lin Yi injured Naipeo with Demon 8 there, he wouldn't be able to let Feng Shipian and Li Siba kill him. It'd be an endless loop between him and Naipeo. He'd hurt him, he'd heal himself, and Lin Yi'd recover his chi and stamina. This cycle wouldn't end until the end of the test. Only by killing Demon 8 and injuring Naipeo would he be able to create a chance for Feng Shipian and the others to kill Naipeo together. As for the two followers of the Dark Palace, they'd long since gone into hiding. They were negligible. They'd seen that Lin Yi could hurt Naipeo, and knew that Lin Yi wasn't someone to be messed with. So they decided to hide. Lin Yi didn't mind people like this at all. As long as he got rid of Naipeo and Demon 8, they'd follow him obediently. Naipeo's eyes were wide open, his face tense as if he was facing a powerful enemy. In the test before, he'd been able to laugh and talk freely even when facing a Sky-class late-phase peak, but now he was under a lot of pressure. Chapter 28-29. Although this move wouldn't have any effect on those Sky-class masters who were prepared and had strong willpower, Lin Yi didn't think that these two conditions were met. When Zhao Qikuan and Feng Shipian were explaining this move to Lin Yi, they were interrupted by Naipeo, and so Naipeo believed that Lin Yi didn't know much about his Demon of Hell Fist, and even if Lin Yi had a strong will, he was only an Earth class, he wouldn't be able to wake up from the illusion of the Demon of Hell Fist by himself. At that thought, Naipeo didn't use the Thorn arts, but the Demon of Hell Fist's arts. He punched out as Lin Yi got closer, yelling, "Demon of Hell Fist!" Boom. At the same time, Lin Yi's fire Bagua palm landed on Demon 8, who was standing not far from Naipeo, completely defenseless. Demon 8 looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. He didn't think that Lin Yi, who was supposed to be attacking Naipeo, would suddenly change his target to Demon 8. But when he realized this, it was already too late. He could only watch as Lin Yi's palm landed on his chest, and his sternum caved in. A sharp pain spread from his chest to his entire body, and he moaned in pain as he was sent flying by Lin Yi's strength. He didn't want to die, but there was nothing he could do. He wanted to yell at Lin Yi for being so cunning, but then he remembered that when he first met Lin Yi in the inn's restaurant, didn't Mo Jiu become a cripple like this? However, by the time Mo Ba realized this, it was already too late. He felt the arrival of death and he already knew that this time he would definitely die. But what made him excited was that before he died he saw Naipeo use his ultimate move on Lin Yi, Demon of Hell Fist. Although he was dead, he was happy that Gunslinger had avenged him. Demon 8 landed heavily on the ground, closed his eyes, and passed away peacefully. A stream of chi shot out from Naipeo's fist, heading straight for Lin Yi's head. Lin Yi was shocked, and suddenly remembered what Feng Shipian had told him about Naipeo's ultimate move, Demon of Hell Fist. Dongfang Bulu was a Sky-class late-phase peak and even he was hit by it. Lin Yi was only an Earth-class late-phase, naturally he wouldn't be able to handle this move. But when Lin Yi reacted, it was already too late. Lin Yi was using the Fire Bagua Palm's 8th form to attack Demon 8, and the chi from Naipeo's fist entered Lin Yi at the same time. Suddenly Lin Yi felt his head go dizzy, and found himself in a strange world. The scenery around Lin Yi changed abruptly, turning into a familiar scene. This was the X island where he'd been with his Shifu when he was young. Bro, Daddy's dead. As Lin Yi was spacing out, not knowing why he had suddenly returned to Island X, where he trained when he was a kid, a familiar crying voice sounded. Lin Yi raised his head to see that it was his teammate Yang Xiaoxiao, the daughter of his Shifu. What? Shifu's dead? Lin Yi was startled as he looked at Yang Xiaoxiao, surprised. He'd gotten into the role without realizing it, as if he'd gone back to his childhood training on X Island. Yes, Daddy's dead. Little 9 killed Daddy. Yang Xiaoxiao said. What? Little 7, you said Shifu was killed by Little 9? Lin Yi's eyes were wide open as he looked at Yang Xiaoxiao in disbelief. Little 7 was Yang Xiaoxiao's code name in the team. Yes, but I've already killed Little 9 to avenge Daddy. Yang Xiaoxiao said sadly, I really didn't think that Little 9 was this kind of person. What? Little 9 is also dead? Lin Yi suddenly felt that the amount of information in this matter was too much for him to accept. He had a splitting headache. This was because the series of events had already exceeded the scope of what he could bear. Bro, don't believe Sister 7. Shifu was killed by her. I saw it. Sister 7 wanted to kill me? Lin Yi couldn't accept it. Suddenly he heard Little 9's voice. When he turned his head, he saw Little 9 crawling over with blood all over her body. Her head was actually broken. Only a little bit of skin on her neck was connected. As she crawled, it swayed and looked like it was about to fall off. Even though Lin Yi had a strong psychological endurance, he couldn't help but scream. Her head was broken but she could still speak? Bro, be careful. Little Nine suddenly said. Lin Yi suddenly felt a sharp pain in his abdomen. When he turned his head, he saw that Yang Xiaoxiao was holding a dagger in her hand, piercing his lower abdomen. Yang Xiaoxiao's mouth had a cruel and proud smile. Little Seven, you? Lin Yi looked at Little Seven in horror. Haha, I'm not Little Seven actually. I am Yuning. Yang Xiaoxiao's face suddenly changed and turned into Yuning, a face that Lin Yi was more familiar with. Little Ning, you? Lin Yi couldn't believe it. How could Yuning kill her own master, kill Little Nine? Why did she pretend to be Little Seven? Just when Lin Yi wanted to ask, Lin Yi suddenly found that the scenery around him had changed again. It turned into a primeval forest in Africa. And Yuning, at the moment, was looking at him affectionately. Lin Yi looked at Yuning again and found that there was no dagger in Yuning's hand, and his lower abdomen was no longer in pain. Lin Yi was puzzled. Yuning suddenly said, Eagle, today is Valentine's Day, and? Lin Yi responded he hadn't recovered from the previous shock. I like you, Yuning said. But I know that you can't be with me, so what I can't get, no one else can. I want to die with you so we can be together forever. Lin Yi was stunned. This was not Yuning's style at all. Lin Yi was wondering if Yuning was insane today. Suddenly, a lion came into the cave and Yuning was summoning the lion. The lion came over and bit Yuning at the waist. Her upper body went directly into the belly of the lion, leaving only half of her body. She made a strange laugh. Ha! Chapter 28:30. Ha ha ha. Lin Yi raised his head and found that the laughter didn't come from the remaining half of Yuning's body, but, behind the lion, there was another person. It was Go Huli. Lin Yi, you didn't expect this, right? My lion ate your lover. Isn't this feeling great? Go Huli said proudly. Bitch, give me your life. Lin Yi didn't think that all of this was Go Huli's doing. He suddenly punched Go Huli with a frenzy fist. Bang. Go Huli was just an ordinary person. Lin Yi's frenzy fist sent her flying. However, when Go Huli fell to the ground, Lin Yi heard another person's voice. Lin Yi, you're so cruel. Jing Jing almost died for you and you actually want to kill Jing Jing? The Go Huli on the ground suddenly turned into Han Jingjing. This made Lin Yi's heart tighten. Jingjing, how are you? Lin Yi quickly ran to Han Jingjing's side and was about to use the art of dragon mastery to heal her injuries. However, the Han Jingjing on the ground suddenly changed. It turned into Tian Chan. Lin Yi, you pervert. I'm going to kill you. Tian Chan took out a sharp knife and stabbed Lin Yi's chest. Ah. Lin Yi felt like he was going crazy. Why did the people around him change one by one? Why did they all betray him? However, just when Lin Yi was a little shocked, how did Go Huli turn into Tian Chan? The Tian Chan in his arms actually turned into another girl. A girl that looked familiar but he didn't know. Lin Yi, you're actually hugging another girl. Don't you want me anymore? If you don't want me, I'll die in front of you. The girl looked at Lin Yi bitterly. The look in her eyes made Lin Yi feel like he had seen it before, but he couldn't be sure. You are? Lin Yi looked at the girl in front of him strangely and asked, Who are you? Lin Yi, don't you recognize me? The girl's eyes flashed with disappointment and grievance. Suddenly she raised her hand slightly, and a snow mist spread from her hand, completely covering Lin Yi. Before I die, I want you to die. You are from Xuegu. Lin Yi suddenly remembered that the girl in front of him was the girl he fell in love with at first sight in Xuegu. However, he only saw her from afar. They didn't interact. Why did she want to kill him? Lin Yi's mind was a mess and he couldn't help but scream again, ah. Chikuan didn't think that Nai Peo would use the dark demon fist all of a sudden, and after Lin Yi got hit, his eyes glazed over. He screamed and hugged his head, squatting on the ground. It was very similar to Dongfang Bulliyu's situation. Boss, what's wrong? Wake up. Chikuan jumped in fright and yelled. Yeah, brother Lin, wake up. Shipian was panicking as well, reaching out to help Lin Yi up. What he didn't expect was that Lin Yi's frenzy fist hit Shipian's chest. Luckily Lin Yi was fighting Go Huli, a normal human. Lin Yi only used the first stance of the frenzy fist, and it didn't do much damage to Shipian, but it still made him feel a little suffocated. Brother Lin, it's me. Feng Shipian jumped in fright and shouted. Although this was only the power of the first or second mystic class skill, Lin Yi was someone who could instantly kill a sky class mid-phase master. Feng Shipian was only at the early phase of sky class. He was afraid that Lin Yi would accidentally kill him in an instant. But Lin Yi didn't pay any attention to him at all. He raised his hand and pushed Feng Shipian to the side. He stood up and cried out in shock again as he ran for the distance. Boss, come back. Chikuan was panicking. This was what happened to Dongfang Bulo. If it were any other place, Linny would be fine even if he ran like crazy. There was no danger, but this was different. This was 5 malice barons and there were many spirit beasts. One mistake and they could run into one, and so Chikuan was worried that Linny would follow in Dongfang Bulu's footsteps. But Linny didn't seem to hear him at all, running back and forth in the 5 fiends barons. He didn't go far, just running in circles. Even so, Chikuan and the others were panicking. There weren't any spirit beasts around now, but that didn't mean that there wouldn't be any later. If one were to suddenly appear, Linny would be in danger. Feng Shipian, Li Siba, Guxian and Chikuan were all focused on Lin Yi, while Naipeo on the other hand, put an energy pill in his mouth to recover his chi. Of course, the energy pill was one of the long-lost elixirs and it was extremely precious. He wouldn't use it unless he had no other choice, but he didn't have Protector Mo Ba with him right now. He didn't dare be careless, afraid that Feng Shipian and the others would come after him. That was why he took the pill. Zhang Naipeo, what did you do to boss Lin Yi? Chikuan was panicking. Lin Yi had been very nice to him, bringing him to the test and giving him the map to the safe place. He was very grateful for all of this, and now that Naipeo had done this to Lin Yi, he was, of course, worried. It's nothing, he just entered the illusion. If you want to know what happened to him, I can let you try. Naipeo said faintly. In actuality, the chi he had recovered wasn't even enough for him to use the Dark Demon Fist once, but he could use the Thorn Arts practitioner's arts. Naipeo wasn't worried at all as he tried to scare Chikuan. Chikuan's face froze, but he didn't dare say anything else. His face was filled with rage, but he didn't dare say anything. Illusion? I remember now. Feng Shipian suddenly slapped his head and said, I know what's going on with the Dark Demon Hell Fist. What is it? Li Siba, Guxian and Chikuan asked at the same time. Naipeo looked at Feng Shipian, surprised as well. He didn't expect him to know about the Dark Demon Fist. Chapter 28:31. Then, is there a way to solve it? Chikuan waved his hand. Right now, we're not in a rush to find out what's going on with this art. We don't have time to think about it, we just want a solution? No. Shipian shook his head. There's no way to break these ancient arts. We can only defend against them, but we can't break them. Then what do we do? Chikuan asked, shocked. What if a spirit beast comes? Wouldn't boss be in danger? Yes, so I'm going to tell you guys the details of this art. There's strength in numbers, so let's all think about it and see if there's a solution. Shipian said. Then why didn't you say so earlier? Chikuan said, panicking. I was about to say it, but you interrupted me. Feng Shipian smiled bitterly. This is actually a skill that can affect a person's mind. Zhang Naipeo used a special method to push his chi into Brother Lin's head, putting him in a state of madness. His soul, we practitioners call it the Yuan Shin, and once the Yuan Shin is sucked into an illusion, he'll lose himself. In his mind, some of the beautiful memories will reappear, but the memories will change. For example, if the few of us successfully pass the trial of the Heavenly Elixir sect, this should be a very good memory for the few of us, right? But in the illusion, the memories will change and we might be killed or killed each other or eaten by spirit beasts. Either way, the memories will change and it'll feel like we're in the same place. It'll drive us crazy. That weird? Siba said, shocked. So it really is a demonic sect to have such an evil move. This is also why this art is called the Hell's Demon Fists. Those who get hit by it will feel like they're in hell, and they won't be able to get out of it. Shipian nodded. Can we capture Boss and force him to wake him up? Chikuan asked. No. As far as I know, people who get hit by the Hell's Demon Fists, there's only a very small chance of awakening them and most of them don't work. The worst case scenario is that their soul leaves their body and they die. Shipian shook his head. In theory, we can only wait for Brother Lin's soul to wake up and destroy the illusion. Outsiders like us have no way of dealing with the heart's demon. Unless we're Sky-class late-phase peak and we know how to use our soul to communicate with Brother Lin, it's pretty much impossible to wake him up normally. This won't work, that won't work. What do we do? Chikuan was panicking, but there was nothing he could do. Not bad. You're quite knowledgeable. You've actually guessed most of my ultimate technique correctly. Naipeo suddenly clapped his hands, praising, You're right, even I can't wake him up. Actually, if it was possible, I really didn't want him to die. I want to leave his life for Liang Bro. In actuality, there was one thing Naipeo didn't say. Lin Yi being alive would be a motivation for him to train hard. If Lin Yi was dead, he didn't know if this motivation would still exist. The chrysanthemum arts required hatred in order to train, and the more hatred there was, the faster the training would go. Otherwise the training wouldn't be as smooth as before. Chikuin glared at Naipeo. He didn't believe him, thinking that he was just being sarcastic. If he didn't want Lin Yi to die, why would he use this move? Just when everyone was at a loss, an Earth-class spirit beast walked over from afar, heading in the direction Lin Yi was going. This shocked everyone, even Naipeo. He thought that Lin Yi was dead for sure. Don't underestimate it just because it was an Earth-class early-phase spirit beast, but it was the most difficult spirit beast to deal with, the giant ape. This type of spirit beast looked like a human and could practice martial arts as well. It was extremely agile, and even a Sky-class practitioner wouldn't be able to protect himself if he met it, let alone a Earth-class late-phase master who had lost his mind. "Boss, watch out." Chikuin yelled at Lin Yi, but it didn't have any effect. Lin Yi didn't seem to hear him at all. He was still running towards the ape. The two were like two cars in a math problem. Chikuin grumbled to himself as he calculated how long it would take for Lin Yi to meet the ape. This might be the last of Lin Yi's life in this world. The scene of Dongfang Butang getting killed by the beast's tail was still fresh in his mind. Generally speaking, if a human cultivator approached a spirit beast, it would be seen as malicious, and the spirit beast would take the initiative to attack. This was especially true in the savage land of Five Evils, which was originally the territory of the spirit beasts. With so many cultivators suddenly entering, the spirit beast would be very hostile towards these cultivators. The distance between Lin Yi and the ape was getting closer and closer, and the ape seemed to have noticed Lin Yi running towards it. It stopped abruptly and looked at Lin Yi, scratching its head with its forearm in confusion before shaking its head and continuing to walk forward. This weird movement of the ape confused everyone, but no one thought that it would attack Lin Yi. As long as it saw Lin Yi, there was no reason for it to let Lin Yi go. 30 meters, 20 meters, 10 meters, 5 meters, 1 meter. Chikuin was so scared that he closed his eyes. Feng Shipian, Li Siba, and Guxian were holding their breaths as well, not daring to look at Lin Yi. Naipeo on the other hand shook his head. "Lin Yi, you can only blame your bad luck for not being as skillful as others. If you die, then so be it." But now there was one person. No, it was a spirit beast who wasn't worried about Lin Yi at all. He wasn't worried that the ape would attack Lin Yi, but that Lin Yi wouldn't be able to recover from this crazed state. Just when everyone thought that the ape would attack, Lin Yi and the ape brushed past each other. The ape looked at Lin Yi a few more times but didn't attack Lin Yi. He continued on his way, not looking at Lin Yi anymore. Chapter 28:32. GG. The pig quickly shook his head. "Huff huff," the eight-legged lizard said. "GG." The pig begged. "Oh." The lizard wasn't the type of spirit beast that liked to kill its own kind, and so it didn't want to attack the pig. "GG." The pig shook his head firmly. "Oh." The lizard raged. It was ready to send the pig flying and then kill Lin Yi. "GG." The pig panicked. "Huff huff." The lizard reached out its front claw and slapped the skybolt pig away. "Gee." The pig cried out in pain as he was sent flying. It wasn't a fatal injury, but it wasn't a light one. He landed heavily on the ground and couldn't get up anymore. "Humph, you overestimate yourself." Naipeo didn't know what the pig and the lizard were talking about, but it was obvious that the pig was trying to stop the lizard from attacking Lin Yi. The reason why Naipeo said that was because he could see that Skybolt Pig was a mystic late-phase peak, and the difference between him and the lizard was like heaven and earth. Because of the difference in level, there was no way Skybolt Pig could stop the lizard. Feng Shipian, Li Siba, Guxian and Chikuin on the other hand were confused and annoyed. Logically speaking, Lin Yi shouldn't have been attacked by a spirit beast, so why was his contracted spirit beast messing around? It seemed like the lizard was pissed off and it was heavily injured. "Little pig, come back, brother, Lin will be fine." These spirit beasts seemed to be very friendly to him. Feng Shipian called out to the pig. The pig rolled his eyes, speechless. Feng Shipian and the others didn't know the truth and he couldn't explain it to them. Besides, it was impossible for him to get up even if he wanted to. He was heavily injured and he couldn't get up at all. Seeing the lizard crawl towards Lin Yi as if it was going to kill Lin Yi, Chikuin and the others were panicking, but there was nothing they could do. They were a team of 2 Sky Class, 1 Earth Class and 1 Mystic Class, 2 Sky Class and 1 Mystic Class. This was a strong team in the world of practitioners, but against a spirit beast, there was no way they could fight back. Spirit beasts had a huge advantage over human practitioners due to their natural advantages. This time, from their point of view, Lin Yi was really done for. Lin Yi's soul was in an unrealistic environment, and it was causing Lin Yi's mind to be unsettled and he was going berserk. Lin Yi's body was going berserk in reality, and Lin Yi's soul was going berserk in the jade as well, but Lin Yi didn't know it. What's wrong? Jiao Lao was a bit worried, but calling out to Lin Yi was useless. 1. Jiao Yazi didn't have much strength, and 2. He was just an illusory body with a sliver of soul inside. He didn't have the power to wake Lin Yi up. Jiao Lao called out again, but Lin Yi was still running around in the jade space, causing the chi in the jade space to shake along with Lin Yi. What's going on? What are you doing? I want to train in peace and I can't even stop. Isn't it just borrowing your territory? You don't have to go through all this trouble, do you? Do you really think that you can call the shots in your territory? An abrupt voice suddenly sounded in the jade space. What surprised Jiao Yazi was that the owner of the voice was the ghost that occupied a corner and slept as soon as he entered the jade space. He saw the ghost get up from the corner, and he couldn't see its shape clearly, but he was sure that Lin Yi's berserk state woke it up. But it was no wonder that Lin Yi didn't suppress his strength at all. He was running around in the space of the jade pendant, activating all the pure energy in his body. The pure energy in the space of the jade pendant was running around with Lin Yi. That damn thing couldn't train in peace here? You're up? Jiao Yazi was stunned. He didn't expect this ghost to wake up at this time, and he didn't know if it was a friend or foe, or if it would cause trouble. This place is in chaos because of this little guy. How can I not get up? I can't stop even if I want to. After the ghost complained, it suddenly looked at Lin Yi, who was running crazily in the jade space. What's wrong with him? Seems like he's possessed? That's right. Do you have a way? Jiao Yazi was stunned for a moment, and he quickly asked. He didn't expect this ghost to see the problem. Has his cultivation gone astray? The ghost said lazily, forget it, I don't care what's wrong with you. Since I'm training in your territory and you're disturbing me, I'll help you. You can help him? Jiao Yazi was happy and quickly asked. Of course I can. I'm different from you. You're just a wisp of primordial spirit. Although your body should be very strong, you're not as strong as me right now. That thing said proudly, watch me. You really have a lot of nonsense, Jiao Yazi said coldly. If you can do it, hurry up. Kid, wake up, don't run. The ghost suddenly roared, causing the chi in the jade space to tremble, and Jiao Yazi also looked at the ghost in surprise. That loud roar might seem no different from a normal person speaking loudly, but in truth, there was something special about that loud roar. It could make people who had been possessed by chi deviation and were delirious snap out of the demons in their hearts. The loud roar contained an energy that could clear people's minds, and it had a similar effect as Shaolin Lion's roar. Chapter 28:33. Then he recalled what happened before. Although Lin Yi was in a berserk state and didn't know what happened at that time, when Lin Yi woke up, he clearly heard the conversation between Jiao Yazi and the ghostly thing. Thinking that it was the ghostly thing that woke him up and brought him back to reality from the nightmare, Lin Yi's eyes flashed with a touch of gratitude. Originally, he was very unhappy with the ghostly thing's behavior of occupying the magpie's nest without a greeting, but he couldn't do anything about it. He couldn't wake it up or chase it away, so Lin Yi could only let it do as it pleased. However, he still felt conflicted in his heart. At this time, Lin Yi realized that it was a wise thing to keep this ghostly thing in the space of the jade pendant. Without its existence, he was afraid that he would soon become the eight-legged lizard's prey. Thank you very much. Lin Yi cupped his fist at the ghostly thing. I can't thank you enough for your kindness. You can continue to cultivate here. Ah, young man, that's a good thing. However, it's not right for me to not do something for you since I'm staying here. You don't have to thank me, we're just using each other. The ghostly thing said. Meh. Are you a human or a ghost? Lin Yi was stunned. You don't have to worry about this. With your current strength, it doesn't matter if you know or not. You should just take care of the things in front of you. The ghostly thing reminded him and shook its head. Sigh, I'm awake, but it's not good for me to sleep again. It's really troublesome. Lin Yi was speechless, but the ghostly thing was right. He really had something to do here. Although the eight-legged lizard crawled slowly, it was about to reach him. Lin Yi clearly saw what happened between Skybolt Pig and the eight-legged lizard outside the Five Evils wildlands. Lin Yi was very grateful for Skybolt Pig's bravery. He didn't know what it said to the lizard, but it was obvious that the conversation failed. Skybolt Pig was beaten up by the lizard, and although he didn't die, Lin Yi's feelings for Skybolt Pig deepened a lot. Lin Yi returned to reality and quickly ran over, picked up Skybolt Pig and ran towards the direction of safety. Seeing Lin Yi wake up all of a sudden, picking up the pig and running, everyone froze. They were both surprised and happy, but Naipeo's eyes were filled with amazement. He didn't understand how Lin Yi had woken up all of a sudden. Logically, this shouldn't be possible. Although, there were some strong-willed people who could wake up on their own, but those were all sky classes, earth classes, and Sky-class practitioners were very rare. Lin Yi was an Earth-class late phase, how could he wake up on his own? Piggy, thank you. Lin Yi said gratefully to Skybolt Pig. Skybolt Pig was a bit surprised. He didn't think that Lin Yi would wake up from the illusion so quickly. It was worth the time he had wasted. He called out excitedly, "Oink oink, Skybolt Pig, but I'll heal you later. There's still a problem in front of us." Lin Yi quickly ran towards safety, but Naipeo's problem wasn't solved yet. There was something in the jade space that could wake him up, but if Feng Shipian, Li Siba, Guxian, Zhao Qikuan and the others were affected, then it'd be troublesome. Oink oink. Skybolt Pig nodded. He wouldn't die anytime soon, and he didn't need to rush to heal himself. The lizard saw Lin Yi run away with Skybolt Pig to safety and hesitated. It didn't chase after Lin Yi. Its walking speed was already slow, and if it were to chase after Lin Yi it'd be fine, but Lin Yi might be able to hide in a safe place before it could catch up. Lin Yi, you're fine? Naipeo looked at Lin Yi confused. He didn't expect Lin Yi to wake up on his own. I'm fine, are you disappointed? Lin Yi looked at Naipeo faintly, a strange light in his eyes. Lin Yi, you may have woken up this time, but I don't believe that you'll be this lucky every time. Even a Sky class has a chance of waking up by themselves, you can't avoid it every time. Naipeo said. Haha, is that so? Then can you dodge it? Lin Yi asked back. Me? What do you mean? Naipeo paused. Nothing much. Lin Yi said, but he was trying his best to recall the method Naipeo used to activate the Hell's Demon's Fist. Lin Yi had an all-rounder skill and he could modify and fuse his own skills. So, ever since Lin Yi woke up, he'd been trying to remember and imitate the activation method of Naipeo's Dark Demon Fist. Naipeo's Thorn Arts was a passive skill, and he didn't need to activate it himself. So Lin Yi couldn't imitate it even if he wanted to. Without the incantation he wouldn't be able to use it at all. The Hell's Demon Fist, however, was different. Lin Yi had already seen through Naipeo's gestures and activation method, and he was pretty close to it in his mind. He just didn't know if he'd be able to activate it on the first try. Lin Yi, since you're fine, then let's call it a draw. We can't do anything to each other, so let's call it a draw. We'll fight again next time. Naipeo could still use the Dark Demon Fist one more time, but if Lin Yi woke up this time, then killing him would be a piece of cake. And so, Naipeo hesitated a little, not daring to use the Dark Demon Fist again. Using the Thorn Arts to fight Lin Yi head-on wouldn't be able to outlast Lin Yi, and so he decided to retreat. What? Scared? Lin Yi said faintly, where's your strength from before? Lin Yi, don't think that I'm scared of you. If it weren't for leaving you for Liang Bro, I wouldn't let you go so easily. Naipeo humphed coldly. Is that so? Do you think that you can fight whenever you want? Is this savage land of 5 evils your home? Lin Yi knew that Naipeo was putting on a brave front, but Lin Yi wasn't planning on letting him go so easily. If it weren't for the thing in the jade that pulled him back to reality, Lin Yi would have been killed by that lizard already. Lin Yi, don't be so shameless. I don't believe that you'll be able to wake up this time. Naipeo's face twisted as he started channeling the incantation, ready to use the Dark Demon Fist again. Chapter 28:34. Qikuan opened his eyes as well. He was surprised to see that Lin Yi was fine. Boss, you're alright? Naipeo was in disbelief as well. Why didn't the ape attack Lin Yi? It was understandable if it didn't see Lin Yi, but it did see Lin Yi, and it wasn't like it couldn't beat Lin Yi, but it didn't do anything. How strange. Could it be that the ape had just killed someone and didn't have any energy left? Li Siba just couldn't figure it out. He shook his head and said, that doesn't make sense. This ape looks quite energetic. Perhaps the giant ape's personality was better, allowing Brother Lin to escape. Guxian analyzed. That's probably the case. Feng Shipian nodded as well, feeling lucky. But, as the saying goes, you can hide the first time but you can't hide forever. Just when everyone was letting out a breath of relief, a black tiger sprinted towards them. It wasn't heading towards Lin Yi, but it was still within the tiger's line of sight. This black tiger had a violent temperament, and when it saw a human practitioner, there was no hope of survival. It even fed on some low-level spirit beasts, unlike most spirit beasts who used training as a substitute for food. Some of the low-rank spirit beasts here would hide far away when they saw the ferocious black tiger spirit beast, lest they were beaten to a pulp. And so, this black tiger was only mystic early phase, but in everyone's eyes, it was even scarier than the ape from before. Lin Yi was in its line of sight, and there was no way Lin Yi could escape this. How could I be so unlucky? Qikuan sighed. He thought that Lin Yi would be able to avoid this, but he didn't expect it to happen so soon. Feng Shipian, Li Siba and Guxian all took in a cold breath. It was indeed unlucky. He'd just escaped the wolf pack and entered the tiger's mouth, and it was much more dangerous than before. Skybolt Pig looked at the tiger faintly but didn't move. Logically speaking, his strength as a mystic late-phase peak should have been enough to suppress the tiger, but he didn't do that. He just sat there thinking about how to get Lin Yi out of this situation. But Feng Shipian, Li Siba, Guxian, and Qikuan had all forgotten about Skybolt Pig. They didn't think about the level suppression from the spirit beasts either. As far as they were concerned, Lin Yi wasn't going to make it, but what they didn't expect was that a miracle happened once more. The tiger saw Lin Yi, but it didn't attack Lin Yi at all. It just looked at him for a while before it sped away, not intending to get close to Lin Yi. Ah! This time, even Zhang Naipeo's mouth was wide open in shock. If the first time was luck, then how could the second time still be luck? Especially against this ferocious tiger, there was no way he could survive. But who would have thought that the tiger didn't attack Lin Yi at all? It didn't make sense. In fact, what they didn't know was that Lin Yi had the fragrance bag that Tianchan gave him, so in the ape's eyes, Lin Yi was a spirit beast. The ape's intelligence was quite high, on par with Skybolt Pig's, and so it looked at Lin Yi a few times, thinking that Lin Yi was a spirit beast, but at the same time he wasn't one. It hadn't seen his face before, but he did look like a practitioner. But while the ape wasn't weak, it wasn't violent. As far as it was concerned, it thought that Lin Yi was a spirit beast as well, so naturally it wouldn't attack. It was confused, but it still left. The other practitioners were far away and there was no need for it to attack them. The black tiger on the other hand was extremely ferocious, but it was only a mystic early phase, and in its eyes, Lin Yi was just an Earth-class late-phase spirit beast. According to the level suppression of spirit beasts, it could only bully golden-class spirit beasts, and whether or not Lin Yi looked like a spirit beast, it didn't dare look at him for long. This was also why Skybolt Pig didn't make a move. He knew about the fragrance bag that Tianchan gave to Lin Yi, and he was a spirit beast as well. He had personally felt the magic of the fragrance bag, and so he wasn't worried that Lin Yi would be attacked by spirit beasts. Lin Yi successfully dodged the first two spirit beasts, but not long after, a Sky-class 8-legged lizard slowly passed by. This lizard had the strength of Sky-class mid-phase, and while it crawled very slowly, its strength was not to be underestimated. One look and you could tell that it wasn't easy to mess with it. Its eyes were red as it stared at Lin Yi, who was running around not too far away. I hope boss can survive this, but it should be fine, right? Qikuan wasn't too worried this time. Yeah, brother Lin may be in a crazed state, but the spirit beasts seem to be very friendly to him. There must be some secret. Feng Shipian said as well. That's true. Guxian nodded as well. I heard that there's a secret art that allows a human practitioner to disguise as a spirit beast. I don't know if it's true or not, but it seems like brother Lin has this secret art. These people weren't panicking this time, but Skybolt Pig was scared out of his wits. Other people didn't know, but he knew that Sky-class spirit beasts weren't stupid. Lin Yi's fragrance bag could be hidden from spirit beasts below Sky-class, but it wouldn't work on spirit beasts above Sky-class. From the eyes of the 8-legged lizard, one could see that it was pissed off at Lin Yi and was ready to kill Lin Yi. However, even though the Skybolt Pig realized that something was wrong, it did not know what to do. Given its strength, it could not stop the 8-legged lizard at all, but even if it could not, the Skybolt Pig could only bite the bullet and negotiate with it. The 8-legged lizard was slowly crawling towards Lin Yi, ready to kill this human practitioner who was provoking it. GG. Skybolt Pig quickly ran over to the 8-legged lizard. Chapter 28:35. Hellfire Fist. Lin Yi yelled. The reason why he said so much was because he was simulating the Hellfire Fist in his mind, and now he could use it. Wah! Naipeo was in the middle of channeling his practitioner's arts when he heard Lin Yi say something so familiar. He paused and raised his head to look at Lin Yi, only to see Lin Yi's fist coming at him. Naipeo quickly changed his practitioner's arts and started channeling his thorn arts. He didn't know what Lin Yi's Hellfire Fist was, but he had his own arts to protect himself. Naturally, he wasn't afraid. Boom. Lin Yi copied Naipeo's style and channeled the Hellfire Fist chi into his fist, shooting it straight into Naipeo's head. In order to make this move more effective, Lin Yi channeled the 9th form of the Hellfire Fist, and so Lin Yi's Hellfire Fist was equivalent to the 9th form of the Hellfire Fist. But even so, Naipeo's thorns still managed to reflect 240% of the Hellfire Fist back, and only 20% of it landed on Lin Yi's body. Of course, that 240% didn't affect Lin Yi at all. It was all absorbed by the golden cicada underwear. But what Lin Yi didn't expect was that this Hellfire Fist would use up so much chi, almost as much as the Fire 8 Trigram Palm. Lin Yi channeled the 9th form of the Hellfire Fist, and although it was successful, all of the chi in Lin Yi's body seemed to be released from his body along with Lin Yi's technique. Shooting towards Naipeo's head, Lin Yi's chi seemed to have been sucked dry, and Lin Yi didn't have time to think before falling to the ground. Ah! Naipeo held his head, a flash of shock in his eyes before turning into a red haze. He took off running towards the direction of the 5 Fiends Barons. Naipeo didn't think that he'd be able to use the Hell's Demon's Fist, or rather, the Hellfire Fist. It didn't look like it, but the effect was more or less the same. Naipeo felt as if he'd fallen into a sea of fire, and an endless amount of fire appeared behind him, scaring him into a run, afraid that the fire would burn him. Lin Yi's Hellfire Fist didn't have the same effect as Naipeo's, but it could create a sea of fire that was incredibly realistic, making it hard for people to tell the difference between real and fake. It was an illusion that they couldn't pull themselves out of. And so, while Naipeo didn't have any painful memories or hallucinations, he did have the feeling that he was in hell, as if he was being tormented by a sea of fire in hell. The pain was even more intense. Think about it, anyone who had a sea of fire behind them wouldn't feel good, and they'd have to keep running. Naipeo felt like that right now, as if he would be swallowed by the sea of fire if he stopped even for a second. So, in order to survive, he had to keep running. In the blink of an eye, Naipeo was gone, and Lin Yi was sitting on the ground recovering a bit of his chi. He was ready to have Feng Shipian and Li Siba work together to kill Naipeo, but Naipeo was already far away. Lin Yi didn't have any chi left, and naturally he couldn't chase after Naipeo himself. But this place was full of danger, and Lin Yi didn't want Feng Shipian and Li Siba to take the risk. If Naipeo didn't catch up and ran into a spirit beast, it wouldn't be worth it. Plus, Naipeo wasn't slow, and whether or not they could catch up was another matter. So Lin Yi only felt a little regretful before letting it go. He'd let Naipeo die on his own. With his crazed state, even if he didn't get killed by the spirit beast, he wouldn't be able to leave this place. Lin Yi didn't believe that someone who didn't know how to heal would be able to find a portal to leave this place. If Naipeo didn't wake up by the end of the test, then he'd have to live here forever. "Boss, how are you? Are you okay?" Chikuin asked as he saw Lin Yi sitting on the ground. "It's fine, I just used up all the pure chi in my body, it's nothing serious." Lin Yi waved his hand and said, "I'll heal Skybolt Pig first, we'll talk when we get back to safety." "Alright." Chikuin quickly walked over and held Lin Yi. Feng Shipian, Li Siba, and Guxian were all looking at Lin Yi with admiration. They didn't think that things would turn out this way. The powerful Zhang Naipeo had been defeated by Lin Yi. It was supposed to be Lin Yi's crazed state, but now it was Zhang Naipeo. Before, the 3 of them weren't as strong as Lin Yi, so they didn't call Lin Yi boss like Chikuin did. They only called Lin Yi their captain, but now they were leaning towards building a good relationship with Lin Yi. "Boss, what do we do with Demon 8's body?" Li Siba worshipped Lin Yi the most. His sect mate had been injured by Naipeo, and now that Naipeo was being driven insane by Lin Yi, he was the happiest. He'd gotten his revenge. Especially now that Naipeo's 2 followers were gone, he made up his mind that he'd report this to his master when he got back to the sect and re-evaluate his relationship with Lin Yi. But no matter what the sect decided, he decided that Lin Yi was his boss. Calling him boss was something that came out of their mouths, and only then did Li Siba realize that his Sky Class strength was nothing at all. Was Naipeo a Sky Class? Were Demon 8 and Demon 9 Sky Class? Dongfang Bulu was a Sky Class late phase peak, and even he was killed by Naipeo. On the other hand, it was Lin Yi and Earth Class late phase who killed Naipeo's group. You really couldn't judge strength by level. "That's right, boss, what do we do with the 2 dogs from the Dark Palace?" Guxian asked, not backing down. "Boss, the 2 of them want to run, I'll go capture them." Feng Shipian saw the 2 disciples of the Dark Palace trying to sneak away, and quickly volunteered to help. All of a sudden, the 3 all called Lin Yi boss, and Chikuin quickly said, "Hey, you guys may be from the ancient class, but you've joined boss faction later, so you have to call me Bro Zhao or Bro Chiton." Chapter 2836. "That's good." Lin Yi said, "You guys can put Demon 8's body at the entrance of the safety. If a strong practitioner tries to do anything, just tell him that I killed Zhang Naipeo, and if he tries to cause trouble, he'll end up the same as Demon 8. Of course, don't say that unless it's absolutely necessary, just in case they get desperate." "We understand, boss, don't worry, we know what we're doing," Feng Shipian said quickly. "If I'm not back by the end of the test, then you guys go to the portal yourself. I have a way to deal with the 5 Malice Chi, but you guys can't," Lin Yi said after some thought. "Alright." Chikuan hesitated but still nodded. All they could do was listen to Lin Yi and not cause him any trouble. If the 5 malice chi invaded their bodies, it'd be even more troublesome. Lin Yi nodded and didn't say anything more. He picked up the pig and strode out of the safety. There were some spirit beasts passing by, but as long as they weren't sky-class spirit beasts, there wouldn't be a problem. In fact, heaven-rank spirit beasts were the same as heaven-rank human cultivators. They were very rare. The total number of heaven-rank human cultivators didn't exceed 2 digits. Even if those newly advanced heaven-rank cultivators were added, there would only be a little over 100 of them. They were like phoenix feathers and water chestnuts. It was the same for spirit beasts as well. In the vast 5 malice wilderness, there wouldn't be more than 2 digits of sky-class spirit beasts, even fewer than human sky-class practitioners. After all, it was much harder for spirit beasts to level up than human practitioners. And so Lin Yi wasn't too worried, and quickly ran towards the direction of 5 Malice Mountains. After a day and a night of rushing, Lin Yi once again arrived at the foot of the 5 Fiends mountain range. On the way, Lin Yi only saw one heaven-rank spirit beast, which Lin Yi promptly dodged. The other heaven-rank spirit beasts completely ignored Lin Yi's existence. Of course, Lin Yi also discovered that these spiritual beasts had become more violent than when he first entered the 5 evil savage lands. Along the way, Lin Yi often saw cultivators' corpses. It was a ghastly sight, and there were at least 3 or 4 of them. They must have been killed by spirit beasts. Before this, it was not easy for Lin Yi to see the corpses of cultivators. He did not expect that not long after, the scene would change. However, there were no spirit beasts or cultivators' corpses near the 5 Fiends mountain range. Looking at the undulating 5 Fiends mountain range, Lin Yi felt a little emotional. The scene of him parting with Tianchan was still vivid in his mind, as if it was just a moment ago. But now he was the only one left here. Lin Yi also did not know why he could not forget about Tianchan, so much so that she would appear in the illusion previously. Could it be that he had fallen in love with her? However, what made Lin Yi feel the most strange was that the young lady whom he had only met a few times in the snowy valley, why would she appear in the illusion previously? Moreover, in the environment her appearance was so clear. When he was in the snowy valley, Lin Yi did not see her appearance clearly, he only saw a hazy outline. In theory, there was no image of her in his own memory, but in the environment, could it be that he had imagined her? It was a pure, sunny beauty, but it was so vivid and lifelike. Without the coldness she had in the snowy valley, Lin Yi was a little confused, but because of the illusion effect from Naipeo's dark demon fist, Lin Yi didn't think too much about it. Right now, his priority was to find Yang Qiqi. Lin Yi walked towards the top of the 5 Fiends mountain range. He didn't know if Yang Qiqi was here for the 5 Fiends dragon, but according to Skybolt Pig's findings, the rest of the treasures were all in the 5 Fiends dragon's cave. And so Lin Yi didn't go anywhere else, he went straight to the cave. This was the second time he went to the 5 Fiends dragon's cave, and Lin Yi was familiar with the way. He didn't even need Skybolt Pig to lead the way, and he arrived at the entrance of the cave without a hitch. The 5 Fiends dragon was lying in the cave, doing who knew what when it heard a noise outside. It got up immediately and looked outside, surprised and confused when it saw Lin Yi. Evidently, the 5 Fiends dragon recognized Lin Yi. It had thrown Lin Yi and Tianchan off the cliff earlier, and now that Lin Yi was back, it was confused. First of all, a practitioner of Lin Yi's strength would be gravely injured, even if he didn't die from falling off a cliff. Not to mention climbing back up from the bottom, it would be hard for him to even recover from his injuries. Second of all, the 5 Fiends dragon knew just how hard the cliff was. Human practitioners couldn't climb up from the bottom, and so when it saw Lin Yi, it thought that it was Lin Yi's twin brother. However, when it saw the Skybolt Pig next to Lin Yi, the 5 Fiends dragon confirmed that Lin Yi was the same Lin Yi from before. However, it was even more puzzled. So, the 5 Fiends dragon didn't rush to attack Lin Yi. Instead it asked, "Little fella, how did you get up here?" You can talk. Lin Yi didn't expect the 5 Fiends dragon to speak the human language. However, when he thought about it, the great fire lion and the heaven spider he met in the Wulonghout mountain range could speak the human language. As the king of the 5 Fiends wilderness, it wasn't strange for the 5 Fiends dragon to speak the human language. Of course I can. The 5 Fiends dragon was a little dissatisfied with Lin Yi's question. "Little fella, you still haven't answered my question." "Of course I climbed up. How else do you think I got up here?" Lin Yi shrugged his shoulders and said, "If you can talk, why didn't you say anything earlier? Also, why did you throw me down?" "You are in cahoots with the little girl from before, so I naturally had to throw you down," the 5 Fiends dragon said matter-of-factly. "However, since you came up here, I'll let you go." I won't throw you down again. Go. Don't let me see you again. Then why did you throw her down? Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat. You are in cahoots with her? What? The Five Fiends dragon was stunned. I'm not in cahoots with her. I just happened to meet her here. Lin Yi shook his head. Chapter 2837. Is the spirit herb that was stolen from you on Demon 8? Meng Qi asked. Take them all back? Lin Yi pointed at Monster 8's body. Boss, those elixirs are all in Naipeo's backpack, not with Demon 8, but there's some Xiaohuan pills on him. Li Siba searched Monster 8's body and found a few pills. He was about to give them to Lin Yi. Oh, the pills, you guys can split them. Lin Yi waved his hand, indicating that he didn't need them. Remembering that Naipeo had taken the herbs, Lin Yi was a little depressed. I should have just taken his herbs first. It's fine, boss, we're happy enough with this result. Even if we didn't pass the test, it's fine. Li Siba didn't mind. Also, you killed this Monster 8 boss, so naturally the pills are yours. How could we take them? I don't need them. I'm a refiner too, Lin Yi smiled, not saying much else. Siba, since boss says so, then let's split them. Chikuin knew Lin Yi's personality and he was a man of his word. Alright, thank you, boss. Li Siba took a look at the number of minor rejuvenation pills. There were still 5 left. Brother Zhao, you've been with the boss for a long time, so you're our elder brother as well. You can take 2 of these pills, the rest of us can take 1 each. Alright, Chikuin didn't reject and nodded. The 2 disciples from the Dark Palace were ready to run, but they were afraid of encountering spirit beasts, so they hesitated. They were hesitating at the entrance of the safe place when Feng Shipian saw them. He stopped them. You two, where do you think you're going? Young Master Feng, we've rested enough here, we're leaving? Disciple A stuttered. Oh, leaving just like that? You're not going to say anything? Feng Shipian looked at them with a smile that was not a smile. Thinking back to when he first came here, he was intimidated by the 2 of them. Feng Shipian felt the thrill of revenge. Young Master Feng, it was Zhang Naipeo who took your herbs, it had nothing to do with us. We were just trying to protect ourselves, sorry. Dark Palace Disciple B quickly said. Is that so? Then what about the trials elixirs on you? Didn't you take them from us? Feng Shipian said faintly. Disciple A's face froze, but there was nothing he could do. He took out the herbs and gave them to Feng Shipian. Then we'll give them back to you. Can we leave now? Wait, we'll ask the boss. Feng Shipian didn't let him go right away. Instead, he looked at Lin Yi, who was walking over. Let them go, there's no point in keeping them. Lin Yi waved his hand. What are you waiting for? Feng Shipian scolded the Dark Palace disciples. Yes. Thank you very much. The 2 disciples of the Dark Palace left without looking back. Lin Yi hugged the pig and started channeling the 2nd stage of the art of dragon mastery. He quickly healed the pig's wounds. Lin Yi was very worried about Chi-Chi's situation. She went to Five Fiends Mountain alone. He didn't know what she was looking for. Other than the Five Fiends dragon, Lin Yi really didn't know what else was there. She was looking for the Five Fiends dragon. She wouldn't be a match for the Five Fiends dragon. Of course, Chi-Chi was always biting the hand that fed her. But Lin Yi saw that she was from the same sect as him, and that she might be looking for the 9th princess herb. Lin Yi had to save her no matter what. And so, Lin Yi didn't have time to care about the lives of the 2 disciples. They were just 2 lackeys after all. If they left, then so be it. Lin Yi couldn't be bothered with people like that. After quickly healing the pig, Lin Yi recovered quite a bit of chi as well. It wasn't a full recovery, but Lin Yi really didn't want to waste any more time. The sooner he left, the sooner Chi-Chi would be safe. Who knew how Chi-Chi was right now? Boss, you're done? Feng Shipian, Li Siba, Guxian, and Chikuin had been protecting Lin Yi as he healed. Chikuin asked quickly when he saw Lin Yi open his eyes. I'm good, did someone come? Lin Yi asked. Yes, 2 practitioners came here to seek refuge, but Feng Shipian chased them away, Chikuin said. They were killed by a spirit beast as soon as they left. Lin Yi nodded. It seemed a bit cruel, but that was how the world of practitioners worked. The strong preyed on the weak and there was no reason at all. Feng Shipian was afraid that the 2 would disturb Lin Yi's healing, so it made sense for him to chase them away forcefully. Not taking their herbs was already very kind of him. Although Lin Yi was in the Jade Space, he had a general idea of what was going on outside. The 2 didn't have good intentions when they first came in, but after Feng Shipian and Li Siba revealed their Sky-class strength, they backed off and didn't dare to do anything rash. Especially after seeing Mo Ba and Master Yang's corpses on the ground, they quickly retreated, thinking that the 2 were killed by Feng Shipian. Also, While you've been healing, boss, the number of spirit beasts passing through the safe area has increased, as if they're going berserk, Guxian said. Is that so? Linny frowned. He didn't know what it meant for a spirit beast to go berserk, but it definitely wasn't a good thing for the participants of the test. Yeah, we don't dare go out anymore, Lisiba said. Zhang Naipeo and his men are gone, you guys won't get bullied here, I'm relieved. Linny stood up. Now, I'm going to the Five Fiends Mountains, wait for me here. Five Fiends Mountains? Boss, you're going to find Yang Chichi? Chikuan asked, realizing what Linny was planning. That's right, Linny nodded. The Five Fiends Mountains are very dangerous, I have to go find her. Chapter 28:38. I see. Linny felt a little guilty. Although Tian Chan was the one who activated the Five Evils' origin, he was the one who benefited from it in the end. However, he couldn't say this out loud. Otherwise, the Dragon of Five Evils would do something even more frightening when it was enraged. Are you done? You can leave now. The Dragon of Five Evils obviously didn't want to talk to Linny anymore. After saying this, it lowered its head and didn't look at Linny anymore. Linny smiled bitterly. It seemed that the Dragon of Five Evils didn't talk to him and Tian Chan before because it looked down on them. Now that it talked, it was just strange that he didn't fall to his death and instead climbed up from the bottom of the cliff. By the way, I want to ask you something. After we left, did you see a girl? She was wearing a black leather coat and looked very cool? Linny asked. Do you know her? Are you with her? The Dragon of Five Evils suddenly asked after listening. Yes, did you see her? Linny asked quickly. Oh, do you want to see her? The Dragon of Five Evils asked instead of answering his question. Do you know where she is? Linny asked hesitantly. He felt that the Dragon of Five Evils was up to no good. I know. I will send you to see her. After saying this, the Dragon of Five Evils suddenly moved. Although its body was huge, its speed wasn't slow. It suddenly rushed out of the cave and grabbed Linny. What do you want? Linny felt something was wrong and asked cautiously. The girl in black that you mentioned asked for the scale on my foot. I didn't give it to her, so she wanted to cut it secretly. She asked me to throw it down the valley. The Five Evils dragon snorted coldly and said, Since you're with her, you can go down again and keep her company. Wait, I can go down myself. There's no need to trouble you, Linny said as his scalp tingled. It's too late. The Five Evils dragon swung its claws a few times and with a swoosh, it threw Linny down the cliff again. Before Skybolt Pig could catch Linny, Linny was sent flying. GG. The Skybolt Pig was a little anxious as he watched Linny fly away. He had no choice but to jump off the cliff himself, but he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to jump that far, or he might just fall to his death. However, the Dragon of Five Evils glanced at Skybolt Pig and did not do anything to him. Perhaps because they were of the same species, the Dragon of Five Evils turned around and returned to the cave, ignoring Skybolt Pig. Skybolt Pig hesitated. He wanted to chase after Lin Yi, but there was no point in going. He might as well stay here, and if Lin Yi's friends came looking for him, he'd be able to notify them in time. Lin Yi flew down the cliff, but this time, Lin Yi wasn't injured. He channeled his practitioner's arts and used his chi to protect himself. Lin Yi was only lightly injured, nothing too serious. After resting for a bit, Lin Yi got up from the ground and started looking for Chi-Chi. The bottom of the cliff was boundless, and it was easy for Lin Yi to spot Chi-Chi's silhouette. That black leather shirt and pants were very recognizable. Chi-Chi was lying on the ground not far away, not moving at all. He didn't know how she was doing. Lin Yi was startled and quickly ran over to check Chi-Chi's breath. She was still breathing, but it was very weak. Lin Yi let out a breath of relief. As long as Chi-Chi wasn't dead, there was still hope. Lin Yi didn't just focus only, he grabbed Chi-Chi's wrist and channeled the second stage of the art of dragon mastery, healing her internal injuries. Chi-Chi's injuries were all caused by the fall. She was a physical practitioner, and didn't have chi to protect her body. Her condition was a little more serious. She was a mystic late-phase peak, but her practitioner's arts weren't focused on protecting her body, but on Qinggong. No matter how good her Qinggong was, falling from such a high place would leave her half dead. Chi-Chi seemed to have had a very long dream. She was thrown off the cliff by the Five Wrath Dragon, and she thought that she was done for. When she woke up, she didn't know if she was in heaven or on earth. Ugh. Chi-Chi opened her eyes. It was a familiar face surprising her. Lin Yi? You're dead too? Lin Yi was a little speechless. I'm not dead. Not dead. Then why do I see you? Chi-Chi was still a little confused. Because you're not dead either. Lin Yi said. Chi-Chi froze as she realized that all the pain was gone from her body, as if she was back to normal. She was in an unfamiliar place, probably the bottom of a cliff. Chi-Chi remembered the last thing she saw before she closed her eyes. You're the one who healed my wounds? My ribs are all healed? Weren't they broken before? Yes. Linny nodded. Then you took off my clothes again? Chi-Chi asked, shocked. I told you you don't need to take off your clothes to heal. Your memory isn't good, is it? Linny said. But I didn't know you could fix bones. Chi-Chi glared at Linny, a little wronged. Why are you always so mean to me? You were the one who was mean to me first, trying to kill me, right? I was the one who came to save you out of kindness, and you're still causing trouble. Linny shrugged. I'm sorry. Chi-Chi remembered that they were at the bottom of the cliff, and that Linny was here to find her. That meant that he'd gone to the Five Fiends Mountains as well. Perhaps he'd fought the Five Wrath Dragon as well? How else would he find her? At that thought, Chi-Chi felt a little apologetic. Yeah, Linny had helped her time and time again. How could she not be grateful? But there was already someone else in her heart, and she couldn't accept anyone else. As a result, Chi-Chi was still upset that Linny had seen her body. It's nothing. Linny smiled. He didn't know why, but Linny ignored Chi-Chi's tsundere attitude time and time again. One apology and Linny didn't mind Chi-Chi's hostility from before. How did you find this place? Did Zhao Qikuan and the others tell you? Chi-Chi changed the topic. Chapter 2839. I'm sorry, it's all because of me. I pissed off the dragon and I dragged you down with me. Chi-Chi said apologetically. Linny had helped her time and time again. How could she not be touched? Now that she thought about it, Chi-Chi felt guilty. Linny didn't owe her anything, so why was he helping her again and again? It's nothing, even if it didn't throw me down, I'd jump down myself to find you. Linny said, our team came together, we couldn't just leave you here alone, could we? Right, how's Zhang Naipao? Chi-Chi asked. He got revenge for you. Linny didn't go into specifics, but Chi-Chi should be able to understand. As expected, Chi-Chi's mouth opened in shock. Lin Yi's strength was beyond her expectations. But it made sense after all, when hadn't Linny crushed his opponents beneath his feet? Yeah. Chi-Chi nodded, but thinking about how she failed to get the scale from the Five Malefic Dragon, she couldn't help but feel a little down. Little Nine's condition was getting worse. It wasn't that serious before, but it had been getting worse and worse for the past year, and Chi-Chi had been running around looking for medicine and ways to cure Little Nine. Chi-Chi's house was a large assassin organization, but it was only one of the largest in the common world. If it weren't for Lil Nine's illness, they'd never have any contact with the training world. But in order to cure Lil Nine's illness, Chi-Chi had no choice but to step into an unknown territory. What's wrong? Linny asked, seeing the heavy look on Chi-Chi's face. It's nothing. I didn't get what I wanted from the test. Chi-Chi sighed. You want to go ask the dragon for its scale? Linny asked, a little moved. Yeah, I wanted to talk to it, but it didn't talk to me. I thought it was asleep, so I sneakily went to pluck one off, but it was just pretending to sleep. It grabbed me and threw me off the cliff. Chi-Chi said, a little troubled. Ugh. Linny felt that Chi-Chi's actions were a bit crazy, but Linny hadn't fought the Five Malefic Dragon himself. Who would have thought that it was that strong? Chi-Chi didn't know how strong the dragon was either. Forget it, I'll think of another way. Chi-Chi sat on the ground, hugging her legs. That was what she said, but anyone could see the helplessness in her eyes. Do you really need the scales of the Five Evils dragon? Lin Yi's heart softened as he asked. As long as it's something from the dragon's claw, it doesn't have to be a scale. Wouldn't it be even more pissed off if we cut off a piece of meat? Chi-Chi said. If it's something else from the dragon's claw, then what about this? Lin Yi took out the nail he'd collected from the Five Malefic Dragon and showed it to Chi-Chi. This is... Chi-Chi blinked. This is a nail from the Five Malefic Dragon. I fought it before and it used its nail to stab a friend of mine, but the nail broke, so I kept it. Lin Yi said. Chi-Chi was pleasantly surprised. She didn't think that the nail would be in Lin Yi's hands. Did this mean that this trip wasn't a waste? Chi-Chi wanted to take the nail from Lin Yi, but then remembered how precious it was. She couldn't just take something from Lin Yi for free. I don't have anything to trade with you. You'll trade yourself then. Lin Yi said seriously, holding back his laughter. Chi-Chi paused, not expecting a condition like this from Lin Yi. She didn't know what to do. Can't you change the condition? I can pay on credit. Where would I find you if you ran away? Lin Yi said. Chi-Chi went silent. That was right. Where would Lin Yi go to find her if she ran? Most importantly, Chi-Chi really did want that nail from Lin Yi's hand. With that, Lil Jio's illness could be cured. I'm just messing with you. Lin Yi put the nail in Chi-Chi's hand, smiling. Take it, it's a gift to you. Don't always think so badly of people. Chi-Chi took the nail from Lin Yi's hand, unable to hold back the tears that started falling down her cheeks. Why were you crying again? Wasn't I just joking? Lin Yi didn't know what to say as he looked at Chi-Chi's tear-stained face. No. Chi-Chi shook her head. Lin Yi, you're a good person. I won't kill you, but there's someone else in my heart already. I'll repay you in other ways. Is this a good person card? Lin Yi smiled, not caring. But a good person card is a good person card. Thank you. Chi-Chi smiled through her tears. How do I use this? Lin Yi couldn't imagine how the nail could be used to cure a disease. Do I just eat it? I don't know, I asked around for a long time and looked through a lot of ancient books before I found out about the use of the claw. Chi-Chi said. How do you use it? You eat it, I guess? Alright, pretend I didn't ask. Lin Yi said. Let's get ready and go back to safety. Zhao Qikuan and the others are probably getting impatient. Alright. But how are we going to get up? Chi-Chi looked up and saw how high the cliff was. The height gave her a fright. There was no way they could jump up. I've come down once with someone before and there are climbing marks on the cliff over there. We just need to follow the marks and jump up. Lin Yi said, pointing in a direction not far away. That's good. Chi-Chi breathed out in relief. She really wouldn't know how to get up there otherwise. She was just good at Qigong, but no matter how good she was, she couldn't jump that high. Lin Yi brought Chi-Chi to the place where he and Tianchan had jumped. Lin Yi decided to give it a try, and so he jumped towards the first spot Tianchan made. Chapter 2840. At first, Lin Yi didn't think about whether or not he could climb back up when he went down to save Chi-Chi. He thought that with the marks left behind by Tianchan, he would be able to climb up easily. But now Lin Yi realized that he was wrong. He'd neglected the most important point. The difference in strength between him and Tianchan. Lin Yi's running speed was about the same as a sky class, but that didn't mean that his strength was the same. The height that a sky class could jump wasn't something that Lin Yi could reach with his current strength. Chi-Chi paused as she watched Lin Yi jump up and down, noticing the problem as well. She saw the marks left behind by Tianchan, but the height wasn't something Chi-Chi could reach. She knew her Qigong very well. There was no way she could reach that height. Lin Yi's failure made Chi-Chi's face change. The marks are too high, I can't jump up. I can't jump up either. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. That jump had pretty much used up all of Lin Yi's energy, but he still couldn't reach Tianchan's height. There was no way to make up for the difference in strength. Even if Lin Yi used all of his chi, he still wouldn't be able to beat Tianchan. And from the looks of it, not only could Tianchan jump that high, but she still had enough energy to use techniques to hit the cliffs. Lin Yi, on the other hand, had used up all of his energy just jumping, let alone hitting the cliffs. Plus, with Lin Yi's current strength, he probably wouldn't be able to do any damage to the cliffs. Tianchan had used her Sky Class late phase peak strength, but she'd only left a few shallow marks on the cliffs. Then we... Chi-Chi's eyes went wide at Lin Yi's words. We can't go up? I can't go up anymore. Lin Yi nodded. Previously, he had been anxious to save people and had neglected these problems. Now that he had thought of it, it was too late. Unless another master on the level of Tianchan came down to rescue them, Lin Yi was really helpless. Then how did you guys get up there? Chi-Chi asked curiously. Before, my friend was a Sky Class late phase peak. Lin Yi told Chi-Chi about how he went up with Tianchan and how he helped Tianchan replenish her stamina. Chi-Chi knew more than enough about him anyways, and Lin Yi didn't need to hide anything. Ah, I see. Is there no other way? Chi-Chi frowned. No. With that, Lin Yi told Chi-Chi about what he and Tianchan had discussed before. Lin Yi had been trapped once before, so there was no point in looking for another way out. We can't get out? How can we? Chi-Chi couldn't accept this at all. She'd finally found the claw of the 5 malefic dragon, and she wanted to give it to little Nine as soon as possible. She didn't expect to be trapped here. That's the truth. Lin Yi said helplessly, but there was nothing he could do. We wouldn't be using this stupid method if there was another way out. Then, what about that Sky Class late phase peak friend of yours? Would she find out that you didn't go back and come looking for you? Chi-Chi asked hopefully. That friend of mine is just a chance acquaintance, a temporary companion. She left after going up here, there's no way she'd come back. Lin Yi shook his head. Lin Yi was actually panicking as well, but judging from Chi-Chi's expression, she'd probably go crazy if Lin Yi kept panicking. As a result, Lin Yi tried his best to look calm, but Lin Yi was actually panicking as well. But Lin Yi's hopes were on Skybolt Pig. The pig didn't come down with him. If he waited for a while and realized that he wasn't going up, Would he go tell Feng Shipian and the others? But if it was just Li Siba and Feng Shipian, Lin Yi couldn't guarantee that they'd be able to make it up. Who knew if they were all stuck here? Lin Yi had thought about getting Li Siba to hit the cliff, but he was only a sky class mid-phase, and while he was a physical practitioner, Lin Yi couldn't help him recover his chi. Even if Lin Yi brought him up, he'd probably give up halfway. Of course, he could let Li Siba recover on his own, and Lin Yi would bring him up after he'd recovered. That way they'd be able to reach the next level, but the drawback was obvious as well. There was a time limit to the test, and after 20 days the Five's malice chi would invade the body. Lin Yi was fine, but Li Siba and the others weren't. They'd probably go mad from the Five's malice chi invading their bodies before they even reached the halfway point. So this method wouldn't work. Lin Yi was conflicted. He didn't know what choice Skybolt Pig would make. Why did you come to save me? Doesn't that mean you're stuck here with me? Yang Qiqi looked at Lin Yi, touched and sympathetic. She didn't know what to say. Lin Yi had helped her and taken care of her, and that was something she'd seen with her own eyes. She just didn't know how to repay him. Lin Yi smiled and didn't say anything else. Lin Yi could tell from the unique mark on Qiqi's ring that she came from the place he trained at when he was young, and since she was close to the 9th princess, she must be a core disciple there. But Lin Yi was still young back then, and his memories were still stuck in his childhood. He didn't even remember Yang Xiaoxiao and the 9th princess, let alone this girl. Lin Yi's memories were a little hazy, and even if he did remember, he probably wouldn't have much of an impression. Yang Xiaoxiao was his Shifu's daughter, and the 9th princess was his adopted daughter. The two were Lin Yi's companions when he was young. Ever since then, his Shifu had instilled in him that as a captain, he couldn't give up on any of the team members. He had to have teamwork and teamwork. This was one of the reasons why Lin Yi came looking for Yang Qiqi. Lin Yi felt a little emotional at the thought of Yang Xiaoxiao and the 9th princess. It had been so many years since he'd gone back, it was about time. From the princess' tone, Lin Yi could tell that she wasn't happy that he hadn't been back for so many years. Chapter 28:41. But now he had finally settled down. There were still dangers in life, but it was different from before. Lin Yi had a goal now, and he had a sense of existence. This was the first time Lin Yi had looked at the 9th princess after looking at Yuning. I've said it before, you're a member of my team. I won't give up on any team member. Lin Yi said. Qiqi felt that this sentence was familiar, but she couldn't remember where she had heard it. She only thanked Lin Yi silently. She decided that if they could leave this place successfully, she would do everything she could to help Lin Yi find out what Lin Yi needed in Europe. Don't worry, there's always a way. Let's eat something first. You're hungry, right? Lin Yi asked. Yeah. A little? Qiqi rubbed her stomach. She was worried that she wouldn't be able to leave this place, but now that Lin Yi mentioned it, she really was hungry. Then wait for me here, I'll go catch some fish from the lake over there, Lin Yi said as he stood up and walked towards the lake the pig pointed him to. Qiqi looked at Lin Yi's back as he left, her heart filled with complicated emotions. She felt guilty as well. She treated Lin Yi badly and she'd been biting the hand that fed her. But Lin Yi didn't mind and helped her every time she was in danger. Qiqi wasn't someone with a heart of stone, so how could she not be touched? Naturally, Lin Yi didn't know that Qiqi's opinion of him had changed. He caught 4 or 5 fish in the lake and quickly went back to where he'd come from. He prepared the fish quickly and skillfully before putting them in a clean place and starting to roast them. All right, eat. Lin Yi gave most of the fish to Qiqi but only took one for himself. Ew. Why are you only eating one? Qiqi asked, a little embarrassed to eat it alone. I'm a spiritual practitioner, I'll be fine after a while. You're a physical practitioner, your recovery is slower, Lin Yi said. Then, I won't hold back. Qiqi nodded. The difference between spiritual and physical practitioners was that spiritual practitioners could absorb the qi in the air and turn it into their own qi for their own use. Physical practitioners, on the other hand, had to train their body to achieve their goal. Although physical experts could also use the surrounding spiritual qi for their own use after practicing martial arts, their recovery speed was still a notch lower than that of internal cultivators. Physical practitioners, on the other hand, consumed their physical strength slowly, because martial arts used the qi around them instead of using their own qi. There were pros and cons to each. However, if the physical practitioner did not use martial arts, then Zhang Naipeo's thorn arts would lose its effect. Zhang Naipeo's thorn arts could bounce 80% of the qi back to 240%. If the physical practitioner did not use martial arts and only used his strong body to hit Zhang Naipeo, there would be no rebound. However, not to mention that the masters of the Holy Fist Palace did not know about this situation. Even if they knew, they would not cause too much damage to Zhang Naipeo with the strength of their bodies. After all, physical masters also relied on martial arts to win. This was why physical practitioners were no match for spiritual practitioners at a low level. On the contrary, when they were at a high level, they would usually be stronger than spiritual practitioners of the same level. This was also because when external experts activated their martial skills, they mobilized the true energy around their bodies, unlike internal experts who emitted it from their bodies. The higher the level of external experts, the more spiritual energy they could mobilize, and naturally the more powerful they would be. Yang Qiqi had a good meal of grilled fish. She sat on the ground in a daze looking at the cliff. The sky was getting dark, but Yang Qiqi didn't feel sleepy. She was trapped here and she didn't know when she could get out. Lin Yi say, if we can't think of a way to get out when the time is up, will the five evils qi invade our bodies and cause us to go crazy? Yang Qiqi asked worriedly. I don't think so. I'll walk around tomorrow and see if there's a way out, Lin Yi said. Okay. Yang Qiqi nodded. She didn't know why she trusted Lin Yi more and more after experiencing so many things with him. Lin Yi's words made her feel at ease. The next morning at dawn, Lin Yi set off to find a way out. However, Lin Yi couldn't find a good way after walking around for a long time. It seemed that Tianchan knew this place very well. If she said there was no way, then there was no way. Since Tianchan could accept the inheritance here, she must know more about the Five Evils Mountain than him. So Lin Yi gave up when he couldn't find a way. He turned to the direction of the lake and continued to catch fish. After catching a few fish, Lin Yi returned to the place where he and Yang Qiqi were stationed and continued to grill fish. Yang Qiqi saw that Lin Yi was back. She couldn't just sit back and enjoy the fruits of his labor, so she asked, "What can I do for you? Do you want me to clean these fish?" "It's fine, I'm used to it. Just wait." Lin Yi shook his head and started cleaning the fish like he was used to. Yinjing City. A pack of cigarettes was quickly finished by Qianli. He tried his best to reduce the amount of cigarettes he smoked, but it didn't take long before there was only one pack left. Qianli picked up his phone and was about to call Mr. Lang when his phone rang. What surprised him was that it was Mr. Lang. "Mr. Lang, I was just about to call you." Qianli smiled as he picked up the phone. "Mr. Lu, are you panicking? You gave me the money, scared that I'd run away?" Xiao Chun smiled brightly. "Haha, how could that be? Mr. Lang and I have a strategic partnership. Our medicine business is a couple $100 million a year. Why would Mr. Lang care about $30 million? Qianli really didn't think that Mr. Lang would lie to him. On one hand, it was the hypnotist's work, and on the other, the two companies had a couple $100 million a year. Mr. Lang wouldn't care about this small amount of money. "I'm just joking, Mr. Lu. I have good news for you," Xiao Chun said, changing the topic. "Oh? What good news? Do you have more cigarettes?" Qianli paused and asked. "We do have cigarettes, but they're all booked the moment the goods arrived. Mr. Lu, I think you should hold it in for a while. We should focus on making money first," Xiao Chun said. Chapter 2852, Closing the Net. "Ah? All booked? None left?" Qianli said, shocked. "Mr. Lang, I can't do that. You have to at least leave some for me. I'd rather make less money than keep some for myself. But the profit is very high. The price of a carton of cigarettes is about 10,000 yuan. I can sell it for more than 20,000 yuan. This batch of goods has a total of 2,000 cartons. Once I sell it, I can make a profit of 200%. Xiao Chun said. "We invested 30 million, including the money we used to bribe the gangsters when we smuggled them in. That's 50 million worth of profit. That won't make much of a difference. Leave me 10, no 20. Qianli thought that the cigarettes would be expensive, but it didn't seem that expensive. He let out a sigh of relief and asked for more. 20? I'll try my best then. 10 should be fine, 20 depends on the situation. Xiao Chun hesitated for a moment and said, "By the way, Mr. Lu, let's split the money we earned, about 13 million yuan each. Shall I transfer it to your company's account?" "Oh, just this one deal? You won't do it again?" Qianli paused. The profits moved him quite a bit. He was a conservative person and he could keep his business, but starting a business was a bit difficult. Naturally, he didn't want to let go of this opportunity. Plus, these cigarettes had become his daily necessities. If he didn't have these cigarettes, he couldn't imagine how he would be able to endure it. So, subconsciously, Qianli hoped that this deal would continue. It's too much money to bribe the gangsters once. This time I'll use my connections. Next time, they'll probably have to pay 20 to 30 million before they're willing to help us smuggle boats. That way there won't be much profit. I'm thinking about doing it again. Mr. Lang said, playing hard to get. Our capital is limited after all. There's no point in doing it again. Is that so? Qianli didn't understand the details of smuggling. He had always been doing proper business, and even when he was importing, it was through the official customs channel. He had never asked a gangster to smuggle a boat. So when Mr. Lang said that, he believed him. But Qianli wasn't too satisfied. Then should we increase the amount of stock each time? Should we talk to those gangsters again? It's not impossible, but I'm afraid that it'll take up too much of Mr. Lu's capital, and I'm also afraid that Mr. Lu will think that this isn't a proper business, Mr. Lang said. The capital can be researched, but this business, this huge profit isn't something I'm interested in. How is that possible? Qianli said. Mr. Lang, where are you? I'll come find you and we can talk about it. I'm at the hotel. Let me bring Lil Chui to your company, and I'll bring you the cigarettes on the way, Xiaochun said. All right, I'll wait for you at my company, Mr. Lang, Qianli quickly said. Half an hour later, Xiaochun and the hypnotist appeared at Qianli's company, and Qianli naturally welcomed them warmly in the guest room. Mr. Lang, you're the best, bringing in such a huge profit in just a few days. Qianli wasn't someone who hadn't seen a lot of money before. But to be able to earn so much in just a few days, this speed was not to be underestimated. It's nothing, it's nothing. If it weren't for Mr. Lu's support, I wouldn't be able to earn this much. Xiaochun waved his hand with a smile. But it's not impossible for us to continue investing. Yes, Mr. Lu, the more you invest, the greater the return. For example, Mr. Lu, if you invest a few $100 million, the return will be even greater. Chui Mianshi seized the opportunity. That's right, then let's invest $500 million. Let's hope we can earn more. Qianli didn't know what was going on, but he suddenly felt a strong urge to invest. He didn't even think about it. That works too. Then let's sign another contract and continue this business. Xiaochun said. All right, no problem. I'll start raising the money in the next 2 days. Qianli's company didn't earn much after becoming the agent of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, but the cash flow was still very strong. When Lin Yi treated Jianghu, it was a bit hard for House Lu to gather $100 million, but now $500 million wasn't a problem at all. Although most of it was from Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, they could still use it once in a while. After all, Lin Yi trusted House Lu a lot. He never checked the accounts before, so Qianli still had a lot of room to maneuver. The contract is still the same as last time, just changing the numbers, Chui Mianshi said as he took out a contract from his bag and passed it to Qianli. Qianli nodded and looked at the contract. It was the same as last time, but the investment amount wasn't confirmed yet. No problem, I'll sign it now and help you raise the money. Qianli nodded and looked at the contract briefly. Since they had worked together many times, Qianli didn't suspect anything and signed the contract right away. In the next few days, Qianli started to raise money for Xiaochun. He used the money from the company to buy the medicine for Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company and some of the money from the customers, and transferred it to Mr. Lang's account. With cigarettes, Qianli's life in the future would be very comfortable. He would smoke every day, fantasizing that the $500 million would turn into $1 billion. Who would doubt his ability to expand if that happened? However, in less than 2 days, Xiaochun called him again. Mr. Lu, it's me, Xiaochun said. Mr. Lang, what's up? How's the organization of our goods? Qianli asked. The goods are pretty much organized, but there's something else I want to discuss with you. We're going to do it. How about a big one? Xiaochun asked. A big one? What do you mean? How did you make it big? Qianli paused. How about this, I'll go with Lil Chui and we'll talk about it at your company, Xiaochun said. All right, I'll wait for Mr. Lang's arrival at the company, Qianli said quickly. Chapter 2842. Mr. Lang, what's the plan? Qianli asked. I'll let Chui explain it to you. Xiaochun gestured to Chui Mianshi. Today was the day to pull in the net, so for safety's sake, Xiaochun was going to let Chui Mianshi explain. Although Chui Mianshi had been giving Qianli psychological hints all this time, and with Xiaochun and Qianli building a good relationship with each other with cigarettes, there weren't any flaws that could be exploited. It's like this. Today is the harvest season for that small country, so the price of cigarettes has dropped quite a bit recently. It's around 8,000 yuan per carton. If we use this opportunity to get a lot of them back, even if we can't sell them all at once, we can sell them for a month or so and slowly sell them and we'll be able to earn more. As Chui Mianshi spoke, he told Qianli the words he had prepared beforehand. Of course, he didn't even need to say much as he had already used the hypnosis on Qianli's body when he spoke. So you're saying that as long as we invest more money we can earn more money? Qianli understood what Chui Mianshi meant. That's right. What do you think, Mr. Lu? Our Mr. Lang thinks that it's better to be more stable. Although we can earn more money now, it'll take up a lot of funds. Don't these funds have interest in the bank? Cui Mianshi said this intentionally, but he used hypnosis to hint to Qianli that taking up funds wasn't a problem as long as they could earn money. I'm familiar with Miracle Dr. Guan's company, so it's fine to transfer the funds to them later. It's fine to hold the funds for a month or so. It's just that it's a little difficult to gather more funds, so I'll have to wait for the goods to be delivered by Miracle Dr. Guan's company this month. I'll sell them in bulk and wait for the agents and distributors to pay me back. It'll take a few days. Qianli wouldn't be so blind if he was doing other business, but he had smoked this cigarette before. He knew how good it was, and there were many rich people like him who felt the same way. Plus, with Cui Mianshi's hypnosis, there was only one thought in his mind, and that was how to raise money. He didn't even think about doubting anything. Alright, just do as you see fit, Mr. Liu. It'll be great if this business is done, but don't burden Mr. Liu's company. There's no end to the money and there'll be opportunities in the future. Xiaochun said, pretending to be generous. Haha, Mr. Lang, money is definitely not a problem. Since I've agreed, naturally I can get it. Since there's this chance, let's make it big. I'll go prepare now. Qianli didn't say much, rushing to get the money. Alright, then I won't bother you anymore. If there's any good news, please share it with me. Xiao Chun also stood up. Then I'll leave now. Please continue with your work, Mr. Liu. With his status as the main supplier of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, funds weren't much of a problem for Qianli. As long as he pressed on both sides, he would be able to raise $1 billion. And so, after sending Miao Lang and Cui Mianshi off, Qianli lit a cigarette and started thinking about how to use the company's funds. Today was the 15th day of the Sky Elixir Sect's test. Only a small number of participants returned to the mountain behind the sect, while most of them stayed here forever. In the Five Evils Savage Land, the corpses of cultivators could be seen at regular intervals. They were all cultivators killed by spirit beasts. Zhao Qikuan, Feng Shiban, Li Siba, and Gu Xian were all worried. Today was the day they were supposed to leave the 5 fiendish barons, but Lin Yi wasn't back yet. There were still 5 days left, but there was no news for so many days, and there might not be news in the next 5 days. Boss isn't back yet, what should we do? Feng Shiban looked at Zhao Qikuan. He was the first one to follow Lin Yi, and he knew Lin Yi's personality the best. So when Feng Shiban asked, Li Siba and Gu Xian looked at Zhao Qikuan as well. Let's wait another 2 days. If boss isn't back in 2 days, we'll go to the teleportation formation and leave this place first. Zhao Qikuan said after some hesitation. He knew Lin Yi's personality very well. If Lin Yi was in trouble, then they'd be a burden to Lin Yi if they stayed here. Plus, there was 5 fiendish qi in the 5 fiendish barons. After 15 days, the qi would invade the practitioner's body, and once it reached 20 days, it would exceed the endurance of a normal practitioner. If they didn't leave soon, the qi would cause them to lose consciousness or even go crazy. And so, there was no point in waiting here. If they were infected by the 5 fiendish qi, then Lin Yi would have to think of a way to save them. So, they might as well leave first. But that's not good, is it? Without boss, we'd be in danger. We might even die here. Li Siba respected Lin Yi the most. Lin Yi had avenged his sect members. If it weren't for Lin Yi being his boss, Li Siba would have seen Nai Peo as an enemy. He was different from other people. Even if Nai Peo didn't kill him, he wouldn't let him stay in a safe place. Siba, you've misunderstood me. Boss means what he says. If we keep waiting here, the qi will invade our bodies, and it'll be even more troublesome for him to save us. Boss is strong, and if he can't handle it, then we can't either. Boss told us to leave when the test ends, and that's today. We'll wait for 2 more days. If boss doesn't come back by then we'll leave first. Qikuan explained. All right. Feng Shiban understood what Qikuan meant. He nodded and said to Siba, Brother Qikuan is right, boss is strong and we won't be of much help here. We might drag him down instead. Chapter 28:43. I've observed it for a while. Spirit beasts are less active at night. If I'm not wrong, the 5 evils qi is more concentrated here at night, which is good for spirit beasts to cultivate. Therefore they rarely move around at night. Even if they see human cultivators, as long as they don't provoke them, there shouldn't be a problem. Gu Xian was an observant. It was impossible to sell information in the ancient world without good observations. He would notice a lot of things that others wouldn't. He'd been observing the spirit beast's movements for the past few days, and he'd come up with this pattern. But it's not like this for the entire night. It's just that between 2 to 4 in the morning, there's no spirit beast in front of the safe area. Is that so? Feng Shipian was overjoyed. Gu Xian, you're really well informed. You've even noticed this pattern? Normal practitioners wouldn't be able to notice the pattern of the spirit beast's movements under such a stressful situation. Even the Sky Elixir sect didn't know. After all, no one could predict the pattern of the spirit beast's movements. Before the spirit beasts went berserk, there was no pattern to their action. They'd train when they wanted, rest when they wanted, attack when they wanted. But now it was different. They'd go berserk every day to search for practitioners, but they couldn't go berserk for 24 hours, they had to rest and train, and this time was between 2 to 4 in the morning as Guxian had discovered. I'm ashamed, I only confirmed it last night, after all, I wasn't sure about my guess before. Guxian spread her hands and said, with our speed, we should be able to reach the teleportation array in 2 hours. After all, this place is not far from the teleportation array, so we don't need to leave 3 days in advance. We can leave 2 days in advance and wait for another day. Alright, we'll wait 3 days then. Chikuin nodded. Let's confirm the pattern again. Below the cliffs of the Five Fiends mountain range, Lin Yi had been fishing and grilling for Chi-Chi these days. He'd given up on finding a way out. Chi-Chi, on the other hand, was getting quieter and quieter, especially as the end of the test drew nearer. Lin Yi, today's the 15th day of the test. Do you think we can't get out? Chi-Chi took the fish from Lin Yi and put it into her mouth mechanically. Even if we can't get out, isn't it good to live here? Lin Yi explained with a smile. In fact, Lin Yi was also very anxious, but there was no use in being anxious when there was no other way. Ah, don't try to comfort me. We'll all die if we stay here for more than 20 days. Chi-Chi smiled bitterly. I don't have much experience in society and I'm a little dumb, but I know that the rules are real. Lin Yi smiled. I don't have much experience in society and I'm a little dumb, but I know that the rules are real. Lin Yi's heart sank as well. The Five Fiends Chi wasn't a problem for Lin Yi, but it wasn't for Chi-Chi. Without a choice, Lin Yi entered the jade space. Oi, I say, Senior Ghost, do you have any good ideas for me to get out of here? Lin Yi got straight to the point. The thing stayed in the corner, not answering Lin Yi. Oi, I know you're still awake. Answer me now, or you won't be able to train if I die here. This jade space is bound to me, and if I die, the jade space might disappear. Lin Yi threatened. You won't die, the Five Fiends Chi here isn't harmful to you. In fact, it's useful. The Five Fiends Chi isn't as pure as the energy in the jade space, but you can still use it for training. The thing finally spoke. Can't you just disturb me? It's very hard for me to go into hibernation. That's not for sure. What if the Five Fiends Chi enters my body? There are always accidents, and even if there aren't any accidents, there's no point in me living here alone. I might even kill myself. Lin Yi threatened. Oh, if you really don't want to live, I can't do anything about it. Then I'll leave the space of the jade pendant. I've said it before, although the Five Evils Chi here is not as pure as in your space, I can still cultivate. The ghostly thing said unhurriedly, think carefully before you die. Okay, I'm begging you. Is there any way for me to get out? Lin Yi saw that his threats didn't work, so he could only coax and pester it. There's really no way. The thing shook its head. How about you call a flying spirit beast, and I'll communicate with it to see if it can take you up. Lin Yi was speechless. Where can I call it? There's no spirit beast around here? Then there's nothing I can do. I'll continue to go into hibernation. Don't disturb me if there's nothing important. The thing said to Lin Yi and disappeared. Jiao Lao. Lin Yi looked at Jiao Yazi. There's nothing I can do, but you should practice more. When you become a heavenly path master, maybe my memory will recover and I can call a flying saucer. Maybe then I can take you up. Jiao Yazi said. Heavenly path, flying saucer. Lin Yi's face was dark as he returned to reality. What are you doing? Chi-Chi had been bored out of her mind these past couple of days. She looked at Lin Yi sitting there like an idiot. Are you practicing? No. Lin Yi shook his head. I'm trying to think of a way to get out. Then have you thought of a way? Chi-Chi asked. Not yet. Lin Yi shook his head and handed the fish to Chi-Chi. You're the last one. It's done. Eat it. Oh. Chi-Chi took the fish and started eating. After that, she sat on the ground and looked around, not knowing what to do. Suddenly, she saw the bones she'd eaten before and started arranging them on the ground. Everyone knew how to eat fish, but it really took a lot of effort to arrange all the fish bones in order after eating the fish. The big bones in the middle were easy as long as they were not damaged, they could be placed there directly. However, the bones on the back and belly of